Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Co-Optional Podcast. It's the 29th of November, 2016. Christmas is in the air.
It's the holiday season, everybody.
That was in the air?
That and excessive carbon emissions, yes. One of the two.
I love Christmas. Christmas gets a bad rap, but I love Christmas.
Does it get a bad rap?
Wait, Christmas gets a bad rap from who?
From, I don't know, well, I know a lot of people I know kind of have this whole, it's all about commercialism and capitalism, and I'm like, really, I really don't
That's
really
the whole
do
point
much
of
a
Christmas.
problem with that.
Sounds pretty good. I mean, that still sounds like a lot of fun.
No.
See the appeal of that.
Extra time at home with family, it's all good with me.
Absolutely. You can spend it doing a wonderfully commercial thing like subscribing to crunchyroll.com/TotalBiscuit, which is our sponsor for today's show. You could do that if you wish to enjoy unlimited anime on almost any device at 1080p. You can enjoy the wonders of whatever the hell Dodger's been watching, which is probably terrible. So why don't you tell us?
There's an anime called Drifters right now. It's by the same people who made Hellsing. And
okay, there's an endorsement.
yeah, it's been pretty great. It's about people from all different points in history being pulled into a fantasy world and getting caught up in a great war.
What the shit?
Yeah,
That
it's fucking
sounds
weird, but
pretty cool.
It's been fun. It's been interesting. Yeah.
I believe you've been watching something very, very serious on the sports front, possibly two very serious things on the sports front.
Some Keijo, is that what you wanted to talk about?
I was sort of laying it out for you because I don't want to touch it with a 10-foot barge pole, but you will.
You don't want to talk about a very serious sport in which women bash their butts and boobs together?
Then
I'll do it.
There you
I
go.
would love to talk about that.
By all
About
means.
boobs and butts bashing.
Yes. Go on.
I just...
Look, just because he said he would like to talk about it doesn't mean he actually
I'm not saying
can.
that I know anything about it, but I just want to point out that the minute I mentioned boob and butt bashing, there was a resounding applause in this room. People just thrilled about that show.
That's because she's my people.
Show,
She gets it.
show the who is responsible for this.
Oh, that nerd over there? Laughing?
Yes.
It's your fault. You did
It sounds
this.
like the kind of show that I call Laura bait.
Ah, yes. I believe that there is a extreme likelihood of that.
Oh yeah, it's very booty centric.
Mhm.
But there's another sports anime that's all about rugby. I've never seen a rugby sports anime before.
We're running out of ideas at this point.
It's called All Out, and it's great. There's so many muscles. If you want to see a show with a lot of muscles.
Is it
Another
like
show-
leave it all out on the field? Is that the joke? Like all
Probably.
out?
Yeah,
So
there
it's
was a
about
point in a
fans.
recent episode where one of them was like, if you can't go all out, then get off the team. And I was like, it's the title of the fucking show.
Ah, roll credits.
Yeah, it was great.
The one that I'm still watching at the moment, which also has quite a lot of muscles in it, is the remake of Tiger Mask, Tiger Mask W.
Mask show. Yeah, has that continued to be good? I watched
Yeah.
the first episode and it didn't
very
grab
silly.
me.
Yeah, you need to watch a couple, certainly, to get into it. It's very silly. Obviously, knowing a decent amount about wrestling helps. The fact that there is literally a direct tie-in to the real storylines that have happened, because Tiger Mask became a real wrestler
Right.
when the first one came out, I think in the 60s or the 70s. So it's kind of gone back and forth, and now it's gone full circle where the anime is now portraying events that are happening in the real New Japan Pro Wrestling as well, and they're featuring a real wrestler by the name of Okada, who's like their very popular guy right now. And it is quite representative outside of the bizarre, like, there is a global wrestling monopoly, as they call it, the GWM, who's the bad guys trying to take over New Japan Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, there's like an evil tiger and a good
Yes,
tiger, right?
evil tiger and a good tiger. Yes, Tiger the Dark.
Yeah. Tiger the Dark.
There was a very funny little image that somebody made about nicknames in groups. When you're with a group of your friends, you're the one with the weird name. It's like George, Tiger the Dark, out of there. Yeah, that's kind of part of the story. Like, there's an evil tiger and a good tiger, but the evil tiger's not really the evil tiger. He's kind of infiltrated the global wrestling.
Misunderstood tiger.
Yeah, he's infiltrated that organization
Tiger the Grey.
as well. Yeah, something like that. There's quite a few tigers in that, and it is very silly. But the thing is that wrestling is also very silly, so it kind of works, and it gives some really interesting insight as to how, like, culturally acceptable wrestling is in Japan. It's very popular amongst women, extremely popular. in a way that makes sense. Like, because you'd think that would be true with wrestling in general, because you got a bunch of buff, oiled-up dudes in very, very small trunks often. You'd think that would be pretty damn popular with women, right? In America, it's still quite popular with men, but in Japan, a lot of women watch it, and they very much sort of aim it towards that fact, with very
here's the
pretty
thing,
wrestlers.
though. I think a lot of the American wrestlers, maybe barring like Dwayne Johnson, but a lot of them are kind of butterfaces, aren't they?
Some are. Lately, there's been a big push. I wouldn't say that to their face if I were you, but
Their
There's been a-
butterface.
Yeah.
there's been a big push lately where some of the top guys are very attractive, and actually one of the main guys that we all hate, all the men hate him, but the women really like him, which to be fair is that, that's been done before that, but like Shawn Michaels was very much like that as well back in the day, where they
Val
deliver.
Venus?
Val Venus, indeed.
That's what you're
Hello,
referring to?
ladies.
Bret Hart.
Bret Hart was appreciated by the men as well because he was very technical, but with we have a guy right now called Roman Reigns who is cheered only really by women and young children, and the men hate him, and he's a super attractive buff
So
dude.
is he like the Justin Bieber of wrestling, or?
They had another guy they called the Justin Bieber wrestling who goes by the name of Seth Rollins, who's also quite attractive. There's a photo of him on Jen's Twitter because we were backstage at Raw last night. Seth
nice.
Rollins is her favorite wrestler, but he's
I
liked along the
remember-
men as well.
I remember when my mom and I got super into WWF before
Mm.
it became WWE.
Back in the day.
And I feel like Jericho was like the only pretty
Fuck Chris
okay looking.
Jericho!
He's still there.
Jericho, what a tool! I'll fight you, Jericho! I'll see you on Raw, Jericho! What a tool!
He is. He's a great heel. He's having his best run yet right now. He's got a bit of a
Really?
dad bod. Yeah, he's got a bit of a dad bod right now, but he can still go in the ring. He's got an amazing gimmick. He turned heel a while ago, which is bad guy, and because he came back and they made him initially a face, which is good guy, but like someone that of that age really shouldn't be coming back and beating guys who are like on the up and up. Yeah, it doesn't
Right.
really work very well. So they turned him heel, and he's now hilarious. He has a list called the List of Jericho, and he writes on the List of Jericho everybody that has wronged him, and it's become a major prop and a major catchphrase for him, where he'll bring the list into the ring, and if anyone does anything wrong, he'll hold this pen in the air for about 10 seconds, very theatrically click it, and then in his usual Jericho voice go, "You just made the list!" And all that kind of great
I'm just
stuff.
thinking of
I
Graham-
want him to like
Graham
pull like a little
Norton.
black book out of his dingle. You know,
But
and then ready to
I'm sure
turn
out of his
I'm
trunks.
thinking of Graham Norton on Father Ted with "I'm putting you on my list." Of
Yes, it's very much like that. There was old Dad's Army, if you remember, Gav will remember that, you guys won't, but Dad's Army back in the day had one where there was a battalion of Germans that ended up accidentally captured by the Dad's Army, which is like the home guard, basically. The old dudes who were defending England, as it were, but were also like represented in this comedy as very incompetent, accidentally captured a German army battalion. And their commander was very much a case of going, yeah, your name will also go on the list if anyone ever did anything wrong. It's like, we will get you eventually, and then you will be on the list.
right.
So I think that might be where they stole the gimmick from. But yeah, Jericho's still in, and he's hilarious. He's fucking hilarious.
Isn't there an Irish one like Sheamus? Or
Sheamus.
something?
Sheamus is also, he used to be, the last couple of years, people have hated him, but he's been teamed up with a Swiss guy who has a bit of a James Bond gimmick called Cesaro, and they became the kind of unwilling tag team. They were in a best of 7 series together, which they tied, but now it's become an
Unlikely
unwilling
best
friendship
friends.
story. Yeah. They keep interrupting each other's intros. One of them streamed on Facebook Live while a match was going on and distracted the other, costing him the match. But last night they had a bar fight in Charlotte, in our city, in one of the Irish pubs. It's a very sort of stereotypical scene of like the third-rate wrestlers come up and try and start a fight with them, and then they come together as a team and drink Guinness together. So it's
Aw.
a little friendship story. Really, really great.
You also could go with the wonderful story of Finley and Hornswoggle, the
Fit Finley, yes.
two greatest Irishmen to ever be in wrestling.
Oh,
Do they,
Hornswoggle.
do they eat Lucky Charms and
One of them
Talking about
is
Darby
the
O'Gill
smaller
and-
person.
Yes, one of
who's-
them is a person of limited height. Let me put it that way.
Yes. And later it was revealed, I believe, that he was Vince McMahon's
Man's son.
illegitimate son.
Yes.
Oh wait, no, really? They didn't do the leprechaun thing with him, did they?
Oh, he was a leprechaun. He
Oh,
was
he
straight
absolutely
up
did.
a
Yeah,
leprechaun.
straight up terrible.
He was a leprechaun, yeah.
Yeah,
Don't they know that's offensive? The English wiped out all the leprechauns.
They absolutely know it's
in
offensive.
the Great Leprechaun Genocide, and
I feel we need to memorialize the leprechauns, though. You know,
It's a dark time. It's a dark
it's
time.
very triggering for us to have to hear about this.
they'd make it a point that they were honoring the leprechaun sacrifice as opposed to mocking it.
Yes, honoring.
Indeed,
Yes.
WWE has the subtlety of a nuclear bomb. You know, it's, they do have some good Irish guys now, though. They had it who were the champion for one night. Unfortunately, then got injured in that match. He's an Irishman called Finn Balor. He's very, very
It's
popular.
funny, I've never heard of half of these.
Oh yeah, a lot of people
here
don't
go
watch the
crazy
new
for,
product,
like,
as it were.
Conor McGregor, but for the wrestlers, they don't seem to.
That's because I don't know how many of them are actually really. They're like, my dad's mother was Irish, so I'm an Irish wrestler, like that kind of thing. So
Finn's definitely Irish. He spent a lot of time working the independent scene in Ireland, and Sheamus is Irish as well. It's just he's been around for ages, so people assume he's not. But they've moved away a bit from the national stereotypes, but not completely. You know, Finn Balor doesn't do a whole "oh, I'm Irish" kind of thing, but they made a point of saying, "oh, but you know, his name means the Demon King." And then they just kept going on about it. It's like, anyone seen the Demon King? Where is the Demon King? Just stop, please.
Well, none of them will ever out Irish stereotype Conor McGregor anyway. I mean, minus the drinking, he is a walking, talking stereotype of us, you know?
He's probably going into, they're making a deal to have him on a WWE match at some point. Also, the current women's champion on SmackDown is Irish, Becky Lynch, who started with, guess what, a fucking river dancing gimmick in a green lycra outfit.
Do you want to know a dark secret?
What is your dark secret?
you know Riverdance?
I love Riverdance.
Riverdance is good. I'm not going to complain about Riverdance.
Me and my girlfriend, every so often, what we like to do is get drunk and watch YouTube videos, like pretty much probably everyone. But we'll usually at the end of the night put on the original Riverdance show, which was an interval act on the Eurovision. And when it gets to the climax, both the two of us are like completely teary-eyed, being like, Ireland!
When it gets to the climax, absolutely. Somehow this started off as a Crunchyroll discussion. But yeah, watch Tiger Mask W. It's great. It's like they made an 80s anime in 2016, and that's cool.
I keep interrupting your obligatory plugs.
Oh, I think we were done with that plug 5 minutes ago, honestly.
No, I just want to give a shout. Look, Dodger, I thought that Weird Drifter show, I was like, oh, it's just going to be like a bunch of time-traveling Japanese dudes. I was wrong! I started going through the characters, and I was like, oh yeah, Nobunaga, gotcha. Yeah, okay, sure. And then all of a sudden you're like, Hannibal and Scipio, Butch Cassidy, the Sundance Kid.
Nice. Yeah. That sounds like fun.
Sacred Band of Thieves. Those are like one of my favorite historical people. Those are like the military unit of all gay dudes, and they fought for each other because they fought harder because they were in love with each other. That's dope. I'll watch this garbage. I'm in.
You should watch it.
Yeah, I'm in on that. That sounds good. I'll watch that after I finish my Black Mirror binge, which I almost have. That's a hell of a show.
It's only 3 episodes. What are you?
No, there's 13 of them.
Are you starting from the beginning?
Yes, as you generally do.
Should have been on this train a while ago, my friend.
No, I avoided that train a while ago. I'm kind of glad I did, because then I wouldn't have been able to binge quite as much in it. Anyway, Co-optional Podcast does occasionally talk about video games. Our special guest today, who has already more than introduced himself, is, of course, the one and only Gav, a.k.a. Miracle of Sound. Welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Hey, it's absolutely our pleasure. If you could up your mic volume just a little bit, that would be lovely. Legendary is, of course, the act of our sound check where it doesn't represent at all what will actually happen when we go live. I don't know why that is.
That's
never right.
Weird about it.
I don't get it. I don't understand at all. If there's something weird with XSplit where it changes shit when you go live, I don't know. We test this and it's never right, but whatever. It's done. It's good.
How's this?
That sounds good to me. I'm sure chat will let you know otherwise. But hey, we do occasionally talk about video games, so why don't we kick that off right now? I actually played a shit ton of stuff over the last week. A lot of older stuff, a lot of newer stuff. But let's start with Jesse. What have you been up to?
God. I have been doing all sorts of nonsense lately when it comes to gaming. I need to find my list. I played so many games. I don't want to miss any of them.
He has a list of Jericho. Let's find out who is on the list.
It's definitely not that. It's definitely not. All right, so first off, oh my God, where did it go? I'm gonna have to remember it. I can't find the list, so tough tatas. So I played through a game called ICEY.
Yes, I've heard a lot about this one.
Yeah, so the premise of this game is it starts out like a normal side-scrolling beat 'em up kind of game.
Yes.
It's a platformer. It's like a side-scrolling beat 'em up platformer. And then about halfway through the opening level, the game crashes and you begin a metagame where you are.
God damn, how do you always find these games?
It was recommended to me, and and people were like, "Yeah, it's a cool slasher thing." And I was like, "Oh," I looked it up online. I was like, "Oh, this looks fucking dope. Graphically, looks really cool." But at a certain point, it becomes a full-on metagame, and there's a narrator. But because it's I'm gonna say Chinese game.
It is Chinese, yes.
Because it's a Chinese game, it's Chinese VO. So the voiceover guy is directing you, and so you have subtitles and whatever. But he's like, "Hey, yeah, you're on a mission to go slay this guy Judas, and it's gonna be this awesome scene. So like, head this way, follow the arrows, I'll get you there." And of course, because F that, I decided not to. And once you do that, the game goes off the rails. Like, you are in the coding, and you're in like, I don't even want to spoil it. It's incredible. Like, it's super interesting.
Big Stanley Parable vibe to it.
Very much so, yeah. And it's definitely something that I kind of fell in love with. So I played through the rest of it, and I'll just simply say, y'all don't even know. It gets really weird. It gets really weird and trippy. But yeah, there's multiple ways of doing it. You can follow the arrows, and that will get you one story. You can not do everything opposite what the guy says. That gets you another story. You can just do your own thing and mix and match and not even listen to them, and that unlocks other things. There are secrets in every area, so every single like map that you go through, there are many secrets. It's interesting. It's a really interesting game that I guess I don't know how many people actually made it, but the guy telling you the story, at one point you end up in like, if you just ignore whatever, you end up in like a room where the guy talking to you, the storyteller, literally goes like, "Man, I've been making this game for years." And I think it might be the actual dev. I have no clue. So I've been making this game for years.
Probably.
But because it's a metagame, he's talking about the like game that it's so weird. But in the background, you see screens of all the other iterations of the game before it got to this final version. And he's like, "In this one, you had a gun, but I got rid of the gun because that gun's shitty and like made it confusing for players." And I'm like, it's cool because he's talking about like his creative process, but also talking about the fact that like the game you're playing, there's been other versions of the game, which is interesting.
That reminds me of there was another game this year that did that kind of
The Magic Circle, by any chance?
No, it was one of those kind of first-person walkie games, and it was about
the beginner's guide.
The ideas from another guy, and nobody knows if he actually made up the other guy or not.
The beginner's guide is what you're looking for there.
Guide,
yeah. Yeah, there was actual controversy around that because people didn't know if he was telling the truth. Like, wait, did you actually steal this stuff? Like, is this real? And I can't remember how that turned out.
That's
exactly kind of awesome, though.
I know a couple of friends of mine believed everything in it and got very into the whole idea that he actually did steal it. But I thought it was very clear to me from the game, just from my interpretation, that it was an alter ego.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I'd have to look up exactly what happened with that, but I did hear some very, very odd theories about that and a bit of controversy surrounding it. But yeah, there was also a game called The Magic Circle, which deals with an unfinished game that you're kind of finishing from within it. And there's a ton of meta development commentary in that as well. ICEY has got popular through word of mouth, I think. Like, Steam Spy indicates it sold 60,000 copies already. It has a ton of positive ratings, despite having almost no press at all. I have to wonder if, like, a popular streamer covered it or something like that. That maybe gave it a big boost. I know Cry played it.
It's super fun. I think what it is the gameplay's fun, and also sort of challenging because there are combos and things you can do, and you can unlock better combos as you go through. So it's it's a good solid gameplay, but underneath it all is this weird story where you're like, what is happening right now? So, and it gives you sort of a freedom that a lot of those games you just keep moving to the right, and this is like, okay, you can go up if you want to. Like, you can just leave this world and go up. It's like, oh, well, all right then. So shout out to them for making a really cool game.
Go up, and they say video games don't innovate anymore.
Incredible,
I know.
isn't it?
It's crazy. And then I continued playing through because we're on this weird meta kick. I think Dodger might have tried this. I continue playing through Beglitched.
Yeah,
Ah, yes.
that game is fun, man. I've been trying to explain that game to multiple people because I started playing it for the first time in the last couple of weeks, and I was like, man, you're like a witch, but like a computer witch, and you're trying to kick all of the animals out of different forums, and you might be the bad guy. Like, I'm just like, I don't.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
You're filling in for the witch is what it, so you're like, you found the witch's computer, and so you're like metaing your way through it, but at the same time that you're doing her daily job, which is like booting hackers and like bots and stuff off of servers, you're also unlocking things on the computer that give you a little more insight into what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And it's definitely one of those things that's a slow burn, because the beginning of it, you're very much doing Bejeweled. You're playing Bejeweled and like a different version of it. It's like a different mini Bejeweled, right?
Bejeweled meets Minesweeper, I would say.
There you go. Yeah, because you're also searching for people in the Bejeweled grid. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But very slowly but surely you start unlocking things, and by the end of it, you're like, what? Yeah, it's definitely, again, I feel bad because these are all games that 90% of the content spoilers. So
Right.
yeah. And then, I mean, things I can remember, I would definitely say that Dishonored 2, is freaking the hotness in my life.
Yeah?
Does it run fine for you?
Right now.
Dishonored 2 is so good.
It
I am the thing that immediately shocked me was how easy it was to get back in. Like, the minute I started playing, I did the tutorial and was like destroying the tutorial, because I was like, it's like 3 or so years haven't gone by. I know exactly how to play and what to do and how to get around. The only things I have is I was curious if they changed the rules on a few things. I was like, how do I maintain low chaos and not screw this up? But other than that,
I've been wondering that too. What are the rules for hiding bodies this time? Like, do the rats don't eat them this time, do they?
there are no so this is the problem. There are blood flies now. So instead of rats, there are these things, blood flies, and they're way worse. They're assholes. But as long as there are no blood flies around, you can just put a body on a stool or on a stump or whatever. If you don't, I mean,
but do they eat
them,
unconscious people?
No. So that's the difference this time. Is last time a rat would eat an unconscious person. This time blood flies only, at least as far as I can tell, eat dead people, which means more blood flies will appear.
Wait,
low
so
chaos is much easier then.
if a rat ate an unconscious person, would it ruin your perfect?
It would count as
Yes.
a death. Yeah.
That sucks. What?
But it's still, I think it was still relatively low chaos because they kind of dispose of the body while they're at it.
Yeah, this chaos system had a couple of different aspects which affected it. One was murder, but if it was a visual murder, if it was bodies that were found, it would increase chaos more, which makes complete sense because, you're basically terrorizing the city. If people are merely disappearing and are not so noticeable, it doesn't have that big an effect. But the problem with using those powers was that they would often kill people you'd otherwise knocked out. So they designed around that this time.
Was never a huge fan of the chaos system myself. I find
know.
binary moral systems in games often prevent you from using the most fun stuff.
Yes, there is that. Like, if you wanted a low chaos run, you would be like, you can't use all of this shit then.
That's true, but I think some of the most fun stuff came from low chaos, in that the way you could dispatch enemies or how you would get through stuff. I like the idea that it also punishes you for being like a psychopath and murdering everyone, because as the game goes on, even the first one, there more and more guards show up because they're like, some dude is murdering everyone.
Yeah.
It's harder as you go along.
And there are more weepers as well, the nasty
yeah, and in this one there's more blood flies, which are giant pains in the ass. But I thought that killing blood fly, like, I don't know why, but I had the assumption like, oh, if I kill these blood fly nests, that's gonna affect my chaos. And everyone was like, no, just murder them. I'm like, okay. But I found out that there are blood fly carriers, which are people who are like infested with them.
Oh, they like lay eggs inside of bodies?
Yeah, if you kill those people, that's chaos.
Really?
So yeah, you have to. So I was like knocking out like fly men. I'm like, oh god,
That doesn't really make sense to
go
me.
to bed. It's like flies are. But I'm like, oh, it's so gross.
Like, surely getting rid of a slavering zombie would count as reducing the chaos in the city.
Apparently, not.
That's like when you lose karma in Fallout New Vegas for stealing shit off raiders.
Yeah, it's weird.
I will say that this time, one of the things that I liked before was like all the lore and the backstory of the game, because it's like such a massive world and you only see a fraction of it. And this time they do the same thing, but everything that's in a level ties together with things that will help you or give you hints, or like if you get a hint, everything is connected to that, like a story behind why that hint exists. Or what. So I love when developers do that kind of stuff because it's awesome.
Did you do the Clockwork Mansion, Jesse?
Yes. But I'm not there in my playthrough, but I've done it at an event. And that thing is like,
it's a fucking masterclass in level design.
In level design, it's really impressive. There's another one. I think what they did is I feel like they had a meeting one day that was like, let's just create levels that are really weird. And they don't even necessarily have to like go together, but like there's a reason why you're there. The one level where you straight up are using a thing to bend time around you. So in order to get through the level, basically you are going through an old crumbling mansion in the present, but what you use is a shard lantern or some weird thing, and it like warps time around you. Suddenly you're in the past, and you can go back and forth between the two. And in the past, people live there, but the only way you can get through things is going back and forth, which is like a really cool concept for a first-person game.
Weirdly enough, there is a level in Titanfall 2 that is exactly like that. Yeah. Which was also like the most praised level. I've beaten that campaign now, and I was not anywhere near as big a fan of it as other people were in that level. Right. But yeah, it's weird that the two games came out in the same year, both did the exact same fucking thing when it comes to that time warping level mechanic.
Yeah.
It's a clever mechanic. I hope more games use it.
It's been done in the past, you know. I mean, Singularity, which was an excellent FPS that was mostly overlooked back at that point, did a bunch of stuff related to that. And obviously, if you go even further back, you can talk about Legacy of Kain, which didn't do time travel, but the spirit world, real world thing was very similar to that there would be things in one that weren't in the other.
Zelda, Link to the Past, did a similar thing. The Dark World.
That's absolutely true as well, yeah. I haven't really touched Dishonored too much. I did try it since the patch. It runs pretty well for me now, but it's still causing a lot of problems for other people.
Yeah, I haven't even touched it because I haven't heard like definitively for sure that it's gonna work okay.
They're still struggling with that.
Yeah, for me, I got rid of my SLI configuration and just went with a straight up single graphics card. It works fine. It works.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a thing for games in the last couple of years. If you have SLI and you have problems, the best thing to do first, just go into the NVIDIA control panel and turn off the second card, and that will
it works.
It'll help.
Of the time, that's what like. SLI, man, you figure that's like, I got two graphics.
Future. Yeah.
Oh, this shit, I'm going to play this game. And it kind of does look better, but man, is it not worth it when half the games don't work properly. So,
yeah, I mean,
why is that? Like, what makes it so that they don't communicate correctly?
It's just very, it's very tech built on top of other tech. Like, SLI is very old technology. Like, I think SLI has been around for a decade. And the problem is that some games, like, were never really built to support that properly, and NVIDIA, to make it work, had to kind of bodge bits of it together. And as a result, the older the technology's gotten, the harder it's been to get that working properly. They are kind of having a do-over with DX12 and what's called multi-GPU, which works with both AMD and NVIDIA cards. That's not really like up to full speed yet. There's only a couple of games that really use it, but that will eventually replace SLI. The thing about SLI that some people don't really seem to understand when it's like, oh, you know, why would you get SLI? It's unreliable. Yeah, but the thing is you can turn it off. It takes like 2 seconds to turn it off. So having two graphics cards, there's literally no downside to it other than power consumption and cost. So if you can get two, because the games it does work on will get a massive boost from it, and the games that it doesn't, you just switch it off and you basically got one again. So there's plenty of games that came out sort of this the last few months that didn't work well with SLI. Battlefield just broke with SLI. All the text now flickers, and there's some weird shit with that, and they still haven't fixed it. I think Watch Dogs 2 works well with SLI. It generally comes down to whether or not the company decided to work with NVIDIA prior to release or not. Because if they didn't, then NVIDIA has to scramble to try and get it to work. If they did, Watch Dogs 2 has NVIDIA-specific features on it, so I haven't tried it with SLI yet, but from what I played of it, it looks great and it runs really well. So
It's a
yeah,
great game as well. It's
so far I agree. Yeah,
Is
my
Watch Dogs
favorite
too good?
my favorite Ubisoft game in about 3 years.
yeah. Let's talk a little bit about that because I think you've probably the one who's played it the most. I've only played about 20 minutes of it, although I liked what I've played so far. Tell me a bit about Watch Dogs 2.
Well, I finished it, and
Well, there you go.
it's kind of, they've taken out a lot of the UB clutter that kind of makes their games a bit of a chore sometimes. Like you don't
Towers?
have
Are
to
there
climb any.
towers?
No, the whole map is unlocked from the beginning. You can go anywhere. One downside to that though is, and this is I can remember this happening in Assassin's Creed 2 as well, is that some of the little puzzles and things around the map, you need some of the upgrades that you get in the main campaign to be able to do them, which can be
Right.
very confusing when you don't know why you can't get places. But
Uh-huh.
I mean, that's a minor niggle. But yeah, it's a fantastic game. I like the tone a lot better than the first Watch Dogs. The kind of nerdy, fun hacker thing works a lot better. But my one caveat to that is I think it would have worked better as a game with no lethal options.
I am on board with that. Like, from what I'd seen in the trailers, I'd kind of hoped that they went that way. There are more non-lethal options, and they encourage you a little bit. Especially in the first level, you have no lethal option, which is great, and it starts off really well. Basically, you have a yo-yo, because of course you do, and it's sort of this kind of ready-made homemade stun gun. And it's that and your hacking abilities. And that's what you've got to get through a building full of security guards. And that starts off really good. It's like, yeah, this feels great. But you do get lethal options, and similar to the first one, there's really not a lot of consequence to gunning people down, which can affect like how much you sympathize with the main character as well.
Exactly. And the way they balance, particularly as the game goes on, it gets quite challenging in parts unless you go full lethal and just kill everyone. Because if you're trying to stealth it, you'll find it's just so much easier to just grab a shotgun and fucking kill everyone, you know?
Yeah.
That's the commercial that I've seen on TV for the game literally starts out like, we're badass hackers and we're hacking and we're hacking. And then at the end of the commercial, a dude pulls out a bazooka and blows up a car. And you're like,
Yeah.
What? Yeah.
what's this game about? Exactly.
It's a little bit inconsistent tonally.
Yeah.
When 1 minute you're adoring, you know, the guy with the mask?
Yeah.
Wrench, I thought he was going to be the worst character. I thought I was going to hate him, but he actually is quite adorable, especially when you find out about like why he wears the mask and stuff. And they'd be having this like really lovely conversation about like Chewbacca, which is just making you laugh. And 2 seconds later, you're blowing innocent people up, and you're like, something feels a bit off here.
Yeah, that's the problem. They can't decide whether or not they want to go fully away from the open world thing, because they know the open world thing still sells copies. So you're going to be compared to GTA and all sorts of things like that in the process, and that's a real shame because it seems like that's what's going to hold it back from being really, really great. But I agree with you, like, especially at the start, the tone is really cool. The dialogue is a shitload better than the original. Some people's like, oh, it's cringy as fuck. It's like, no, actually, it's nerdy. And nerdy in a real nerdy way, not in a fake nerd way. Yeah, it knows what it's doing. There's tons of video game references and things. I mean, fuck, there's a full-on thing where you can swat people, and one of the guys you're swatting is playing Rainbow Six Siege at the time in the game, which I thought was really great.
My favorite mission was hacking the Martin Shkreli type guy and donating all his money to medical research.
Yeah, there's some really neat stuff in there, actually. And more to the point, I think the important thing about that game is that it sort of learned to laugh at itself. It hasn't gone all the way in that respect. And that's kind of a bit of a problem, but it realizes how fucking silly open world games actually are. And it is self-aware to some degree of that. And that was a big problem in the first one, that you're basically a wizard, and your character motivation is paper thin for what you're doing, and yet the world doesn't realize how fucking stupid this is. So it's played very straight. This game isn't. I mean, even down to the way the menu is designed. Like, visually, it's a fuck ton more appealing than the first one. There's a ton of, like, really cool pixel art in the menus and all sorts of things like that. You know, it's very bulletin board-esque, very old-school 80s hacking.
By far the most fun music video I got to make this year was my Watch Dogs one, because the visuals in that game are just spectacular.
There's a ton more color in it. There's a ton more variety in it, and I appreciate all of that. I haven't got far enough in the game to really assess it gameplay-wise. What I played felt pretty good, but it seems like they could go further than they did with it. They didn't go as far as perhaps they should have to really distinguish it from the first one. And I understand that incremental, baby step sort of attitude. But especially after the first one was not received that well, maybe just going like straight up, we're just going to completely change things around would have been the way to go. But maybe that's what Watch Dogs 3 is, Maybe this is the stepping stone to that.
If it gets made.
If it does, yeah.
Sadly, this one didn't sell half as well as the first one.
Not a big surprise considering the disappointment of the first one.
That's what I was going to say. It sounds like Watch Dogs 2 is way better than Watch Dogs 1, and they did listen in a lot of ways, but because people were burned by the first one, they had no interest in even trying.
And by the time as well. I mean, it's such a pity that this and Titanfall 2 got released when they did, because they're both really good sequels, but they're both just getting buried under this huge deluge of AAA stuff.
And it's weird because there's not a lot of open world competition right now. There's no sign of a new GTA. We've heard Red Dead Redemption 2 is coming, but that's going to be for years. Like, there's nothing actually really directly competing with Watch Dogs 2 at the moment.
15.
Skyrim Remaster has, I think, sold more than it, did it?
Well, yeah, that doesn't surprise me. Is Final Fantasy 15 really? I mean, they are both open world, yes.
It's pretty open world.
But one's a very Japanese style open world, one's a very Western GTA style open world. I don't think they're that comparable. But it may just be a case of like simple marketing, like the Final Fantasy brand's so strong.
I guess when I think of like what would be competitive between those two titles is like they're both the sort of game where it's like, well, the base game is this many hours, but if you want to do all of the side quests and do all of the things in the world, then it's 300 hours,
They're both big single player time sinks.
Yeah, they're both time sinks, I guess is what I mean.
Well, my question is, with the lack of, there haven't been very many open world games this year.
No.
But every conversation we ever have,
there haven't been a lot of Ubisoft games this year.
True, yes. No Assassin's Creed.
Is like, people love open world because it gives them a lot of time to play games, stuff like that. But they're not selling. So is it that they don't like the games that they have that are open world that are out, or they don't? There's that concept like slowly dying. Like people are like, it's too much game. It's not like it.
There's a burnout, I think, on it. Like, I think the last couple of years we've had a shit ton of open world games. We get an Assassin's Creed game every year. Obviously, we had Grand Theft Auto, but then we had things like Metal Gear Solid 5. We've even had stuff that's going open world when it wasn't previously. We had Just Cause 3, and then now we're getting Ghost Recon in an open world form, which I think is completely the wrong move, because it's basically we're slightly more serious Just Cause, which is like, well, no. And the Far Cry games, we got a couple of Far Cry games within a very short space of time. Primal didn't go anywhere near as well as 4 did, rightfully so, because Primal wasn't as good as 4 by any stretch. And the way that game genre trends go is because of games take as long as they do to develop, you end up with some games like they come out too late. Yeah. But the trend has already kind of passed.
Remember when we spent like 2 years being like another zombie game, but those people who were making zombie games were so far along in development, they were like, we can't turn back now. Like this game is still going out.
Yeah, there were other games this year that had that as well, wasn't it? Like Mafia 3 was open world, The Division was open world as well, even though it was a multiplayer focused one. And both of those games didn't do that well. The Division sold quite a lot of launch, but its population tanked, and Mafia 3 hasn't done that well either. So it seems like these guys have come along a little late.
It's a pity as well because Watch Dogs 2, as actual maps go, it's a fantastic open world. There's no, there isn't any dead space in it. I keep hearing it compared to GTA 5 unfavorably, and I actually think Watch Dogs 2 has a better map because there's always something to do on every block, a little puzzle or something to climb and find. Whereas in a game like GTA, it's a fantastic detailed map, but in most of the places,
lots of dead space,
nothing to do.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things where people over time have the exact same opinion that you just expressed, where open world for the vast majority of people who at least I know is like, it's nice to look at, but it's a large space of nothing to do. And from what I've seen so far of Final Fantasy 15, and I haven't played it yet by any stretch of the means, but like everyone in this office has, and I've been watching them play it, it literally is like, you have a quest that's 0.5 miles away. And as you run to that location on the map, there's like maybe 3 things along the way. And I'm like, Okay. So it could be that later on this changes, but at the beginning, from what I've seen so far, it has that open world vibe where I'm like, boy, do I not like open world games. So
that's the other thing, though, is that every time we talk about open world games, I feel like we're also talking about them from the perspective of people who play tons of games.
Yes.
And
Open
it's
world
hard for
games
us
have a
to,
good
like-
value proposition for a lot of people. Because they got a lot of content in the box. I'd like to correct what I said earlier, by the way. I did say Mafia 3 didn't sell that well. There are indications it actually did, but there are no figures on it. It was their fastest shipping game ever.
Interesting.
But that's not sales figures. That's how many copies were shipped to stores. They did hit the UK chart, which is generally a fairly good indicator. We don't know how many, there's plenty of websites reporting it set a sales record, but that's actually false. Because they didn't actually announce what the sales figures were. They sold. Shipped is different to sold. But I know it did have a big advertising campaign behind it, and it did relatively well in that respect. But as to how many it sold, don't know. Is there
Did you guys
chilling
enjoy
effect?
that one?
Mafia 3, I didn't play it. Like, it launched on PC at 30 FPS, so I'm like, fuck that. They fixed it, but I haven't touched it much. I haven't heard great things about it. Outside of the setting, which is supposed to be obviously really cool, I haven't heard great things about it as a game.
Exactly. The setting, amazing. The story, pretty good. I liked it. I didn't like it as much as Mafia 2, but the gameplay was just such a letdown. And the world as well. Speaking of empty open worlds with nothing to do.
Yeah, I wonder. We probably are seeing open world games falling in popularity a bit. We may see that change. And one should be careful not to confuse hub-based gameplay with open-world gameplay. Deus Ex is not an open-world game. Deus Ex is a hub-based game. Open worlds, fully open worlds are a bit different. And honestly, a lot of fully open worlds do tend to run into the same problem of they're full of filler crap, And
as opposed to a game like Dishonored or Deus Ex, like you said, where
Dishonored is not open world.
Every little corner has a ton of detail packed into it.
Yeah,
it makes it really fun to explore.
Yeah, I think it really is the same problem that you have with every genre, where people start to say, okay, but that's probably just going to be the same game that I played a while back. Like there's no trust in innovation at this point. There's no faith that the game that they buy is going to be any different from a game that they played last year or just a few months ago.
And there's the problem as well that as much as the vocal minority claims they want innovation, that's generally not repeated in sales figures. When it comes time to put your money where your mouth is, most people back off and they'll just complain on the forums about innovation, but they'll buy the same game. We may see a change in that. I mean, if you look at the falling sales figures of Call of Duty, one can make the argument that people are looking for something different. But the thing is, they went and threw their money at Battlefield, which isn't different either. No, in reality,
which is ironic because this is the most innovative Call of Duty in years.
In terms of its single player, that's absolutely true. Yeah, its single player is great. But I think that's more of a marketing thing. It's like Battlefield 1 was marketed better. People assumed, this is a completely different experience. It's not. It totally is not multiplayer wise at all.
It's still being marketed, though. Battlefield 1, I still see commercials for it. I have not seen a one Call of Duty commercial. Not one.
There's been a few, but they generally put them in different places because they realize that these are I've seen them when I go to a bar or a gastropub or whatever. I'll almost unfailingly see a COD commercial on one of the TVs, on one of the sports channels or something like that. Because they realize the demo's different for COD now. You don't need to advertise it to the core gamer base because they either they already hate it and they're never going to buy it, or they buy it every year. Whereas the people you're going after are the more casual gamers. The college dude bro frat stereotype is still part of a demo, and that demo often does buy COD and Gears and things like that. They like those games, so you market towards them instead.
COD was down this year, but I think it's still the biggest selling game of the year, isn't it?
I'm not 100% sure what it is right now, and obviously, it'll be interesting to see towards the end of the year once the sales figures really get going as to what's going to happen there, and whether or not COD will have a long tail. Battlefield may take it over. I mean, it's taken it over on PC for a while. Battlefield 4 is still played more than all of the COD games on PC. Even the popular ones.
Call of Duty sold 1.8 million copies,
which is a lot, but it's down from previous years. Where you got to bear in mind, COD was is one of the biggest entertainment franchises, period, that exists. So
Yeah, it says in comparison, Call of Duty Black Ops 3 sold over 3 million in its first week.
in its first week, yeah. There's definitely a chilling effect on that. As to why, I don't know.
Treyarch are more, at this point, Treyarch are much more respected, I think.
It's so strange we've got to that point, isn't it? Like,
Isn't it? Yeah.
Treyarch used to be it's a Treyarch year? Oh, God, it's the knockoff COD.
I remember
is
when
what it is.
Treyarch was like the Ryanair of...
Yep. They absolutely were. COD 3
their
and
games
World
felt
at War.
bolted together with like bits of sellotape everywhere.
That started to change with Black Ops 1, I think. Like,
Yeah.
that's where the tide started to shift. And of course, Infinity Ward is not the same Infinity Ward it was. And that's obvious. The quality of Infinite Warfare is nowhere near what previous Infinity Ward games have been.
Yeah. I stopped playing Call of Duty multiplayer about 3-4 years ago, but never in my life have I raged as hard at a game as I did with Black Ops 1 multiplayer. I mean, Jesus, it was just so unhealthy for me. I had to stop playing Call of Duty completely.
It was, it wasn't good. Like, it had a lot of problems. Like, it was legendarily bad spawns. There were certain things that were silly overpowered. But it got a following, I think, just because it felt a little bit different. And then when Black Ops 2 came along, people were really into that. You know? And Black Ops 3
was a
got
good
good
game.
reception too.
Yeah.
I think for that series, they probably need to start moving away from sci-fi now, because I think everyone's seeing, and I don't agree with this, but everyone sees the whole future war thing as the same genre and as the same setting. It's like, well, COD's done the same thing for the last 3 games. Well, no, it's not, because, one is near future. This one is as far future as they've ever got. I mean, it has fucking spaceship combat in it, for God's sake. That's not the same as Black Ops or Advanced Warfare, which was very boots on the ground kind of gameplay. It's like saying that it's like saying that World War I and the Vietnam War are the same setting, which obviously isn't true, and nobody views it that way. But people do view sci-fi as the same thing. It's like, well, no, it's not. They're completely different eras.
I think it's probably because the sci-fi feel to Call of Duty was added later, whereas people were used to it being, set in either the present or the past, or maybe they just didn't do a very good job of handling it, because
Maybe not.
when they changed to the modern day thing with Call of Duty 4, everyone loved it.
Yeah, it's I don't know. Maybe COD just doesn't go far enough with it. Like even in like Infinite Warfare, which is supposed to be the most far future thing there is, the energy weapon is a fucking AK. The Volk is an AK-47 that fires energy bolts. The Vector is still in it. The P90, which is, a weapon from 1990, is still in the game. They just changed the name of it and made it look a bit more futuristic. And it's like, how attached are you to older tech? Like, you're in space and you're still using this old shit and you're pretending it's new shit? Like, you got to go a bit further than that, surely.
Yeah, I miss the real authentic looking guns in Call of Duty. Actually, that was a lot of fun in Call of Duty 4.
There's and a lot of it is down to, like, they did Modern Warfare repeatedly. Like, and people's like, stop doing modern military shooters. So they stopped doing modern military shooters, and now it's like people stop doing sci-fi shooters. Again, sci-fi shooter isn't a genre. It shouldn't be anyway. Something based in 2020 is sci-fi. Something based in 2220 is sci-fi, but they shouldn't be using the same tech or setting at all.
It's a bit like the Ubisoft open worlds, really, in that, like, Activision don't really know when to stop with a certain thing, and they'll do so much of it that people get sick of it, and then they think, oh, well, people don't want this genre anymore. When if they had spaced it out more, people would probably still get excited for modern military shooters.
Yeah,
and,
maybe
open world games.
It goes in cycles. We had the same issue with World War II. People did World War II too much, and then people like, stop doing that. So like, okay, let's go modern. People like, stop doing that. Let's go sci-fi. In the case of Battlefield, it's like, let's go backwards.
For one now.
Yeah, they will. It wouldn't surprise me if the next one is either Modern Warfare 4 or something like that, or either does Vietnam. I think COD still hasn't touched Vietnam as well as it could have. Black Ops was in Vietnam for a bit of it, but not all of it. It would be maybe good to see Vietnam again. Korea is one that's never done. They could extrapolate very easily on the Korean War. They may try World War I and see if they can do it better than Battlefield. Or they may go back to World War II, because we haven't had that for a while.
It would not at all surprise me if I found out that when that Battlefield 1 trailer came out, Activision's next team, whoever, is it Sledge? No, who's the next team? Whatever one they were told,
Sledgehammer.
"Stop what you're doing, reskin everything in a World War I or II setting."
Yeah, Sledgehammer's got the next responsibility, because it goes in threes. Black Ops 3 was Treyarch. We just had Infinity Ward, so it's Sledgehammer's next. Which I don't know about that one. They did Advanced Warfare, and I thought that game was good. I really enjoyed Advanced Warfare. A lot of the old school COD guys didn't, because they thought the movement system was way too far out. I thought the massive changes to that were a big deal, and that was great. It was one of my favorite COD games. But I think Sledgehammer is willing to take risks, and I hope that they're willing to do that again. And we'll see something hopefully pretty great. I'd like to see just some of the lesser-known wars, you know. I was recording a video today with Forgotten Weapons. We were doing a bunch of, these are the real weapons versus Battlefield's weapon stuff, because I went to Vegas to shoot them. And when I was looking through all of these different, you know, kind of encyclopedias about when these weapons were used, it's like, I don't remember half of these wars. Here's an example, like the MP18, that's the SMG that's used in Battlefield 1, the standard SMG, barely used in World War 1, right? Only manufactured for a couple of years. Did you know, however, it was used in the Second Sino-Japanese War, the Chaco War, and the Chinese Civil War, and the Spanish Civil War? Did you even fucking know there was a Spanish Civil War in between 1936 and 1939? Some of you probably do, but I was in Britain with bad education, so I didn't. There are actually tons of wars that are not even covered that happened between these major world wars that used iterations of these weapons that we saw, and they have not been touched by video games whatsoever. At all. There's a lot of things that they could do with that. Will they go that route? Possibly. Are they more likely to just go back to World War II? Probably. People, as much as they say they want innovation, they love familiarity. They really do, and that's why even in these future games you got, this is an AK-47 that fires plasma bolts, because of fucking course it is. Why would you have that? Why would you not have that? Alright, we'll see. I'm intrigued to see where COD goes now. And more to the point where Battlefield goes now. Because I think Battlefield won this year, didn't it? Really? It's been a while, but it seems like it has, sales-wise. We'll have to find out at the end of the year.
I would say it's very likely it'll win in the lasting player base competition.
That's definitely going to happen. If you look at the player base for Battlefield versus... I mean, COD is a lot stronger on console historically than on PC, but the PC player base for COD is not good right now. It's definitely playable, but compared to previous titles, it's falling off even faster than previous ones. Currently, if we look at it, Infinite Warfare... has 5,000 people playing it right now, and we don't even know if that's the multiplayer. But bear in mind, they split it down the middle this time. They brought out Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered, which I did actually play some of in multiplayer. I gotta say, is fun. It's fun. It is... I had never actually played Modern Warfare multiplayer. Never done it. But it is actually...
one of the best shooters ever made.
I will, on the multiplayer side, I'll say you're probably right. I never liked the single player of COD 4. I think it was the genesis of...
Heresy.
It was the genesis of really bad design. Like, that was like one of the first campaigns that did infinitely spawning enemies. You can't open your own fucking doors, like massively over-scripted stuff that I hated in stuff like Battlefield 3 and 4 and Modern Warfare and Medal of Honor Door Fighter. Those games all took inspiration from that. I despise that.
Thank you. That was my. I came up with that, by the way.
You did. You absolutely did. But I gotta say, if you praise COD 4, you've got to understand that Warfighter is its bastard stepchild, and the only reason Warfighter exists is because of COD 4 and the fact that people really liked it. But Remastered is playing about 2,000 concurrent.
That's not Call of Duty 4's fault, you know. I mean,
4 sucks. The single player
Clown Posse isn't Grandmaster Flash's fault, you know.
I don't know. I think you can make it an argument for that. You know, magnets, how do they work? I think that in terms of its multiplayer,
Eddie Vedder's fault.
Okay, I'll give you that one. It's hella fun in multiplayer. The remastered version feels pretty good. It's quite nice to start with a weapon that's like, you start with a 3-round burst weapon with an iron sight, and it's actually good. Like, and you can use it instead of like, I've got 5,000 attachments on my gun. It's got a laser tracker, and it's got a foregrip, and an angle grip, and a secondary ACOG, and canted iron sights, and a suppressor, and a flash hider, and all this kind of stuff. Like
Reddit M16 that everyone hates because it's so OP.
I know, that's why I use it. It's fucking great. Yeah, not only that, but you stick a grenade launcher, stick a noob tube under it, and it's great. But that one on PC is getting only about 2,000. It did not take off in the way people expected. I want to see Infinite Warfare stats versus Modern Warfare Remaster stats on console. I want to know how many people bought that pack just to play Remastered and how many are playing Infinite Warfare.
Didn't they also split it so that Windows 10 users can't play with Windows 7? Or
if you bought it on their Windows 10 store. Thankfully, nobody uses that store, so that's not really a problem. But yes, that was dumb as fuck. If you're gonna buy Infinite Warfare, do not buy it on the Windows Store because you'll not be able to play with anybody because nobody bought it on there. Splitting those two was stupid, incredibly stupid. Yes, it's intriguing. We'll see how it pans out. I wanna see what happens now. Battlefield's the top dog. What are they gonna do with that? How are they gonna leverage that? What's the next one gonna be? I'm intrigued. Let's take a break. When we come back, we'll talk a little bit more about the games we've been playing this week. Our sponsor this week is, of course, Crunchyroll.com/TotalBiscuit. Head on over there for a free 30-day trial for unlimited anime. That's enough time to watch Cowboy Bebop. That sounds like a great idea. Here's 30 seconds of Cowboy Bebop. We'll be right back. It's this one. There we go.
Sorry,
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Corruption Podcast. Apologize for the slight delay. Dodger's turned into a feline, which is a bit of a weird situation. But...
Sorry, guys. Anybody who was watching me stream yesterday knows that my back was kind of hurting, and holy shit, it's in the last hour, it's gotten exponentially worse. So I'm in like a weird position right now. So I asked if he could put a kitty on.
There's now a cat, yes.
Yeah.
Vast improvement.
the dreaded video game job person spine condition.
It's a real thing. We are just an absolute wonderland for chiropractors everywhere, no doubt about it.
Learn to slouch like me. Just let go. Just let go.
That's what I think. That's what hurt me, though.
Yeah, don't take his advice.
Going into the slouch, I think, is what ruined my
Just
body.
let gravity take over and just sink into yourself. Like,
Yeah,
I am eating a
full
donut
jobber.
to try and fix it, which I think
That's
my
how it
favorite
works.
treat.
Great solution.
Yeah.
Ideal.
that's
Yeah.
how that works.
I just
should-
need a
that should
Mountain
do it.
Dew. I'm pretty sure there's some in the fridge. If I had a Mountain Dew and this donut, I think I'd be right back to normal.
I think so too. Yeah, your body's just like, I gotta do the do. There's no neon green in me today. I need to get my daily allowance of neon green.
I'm
A couple of-
not convinced.
No, a couple of days ago, Kristen and I both like walked by each other with a Mountain Dew in our hands, and we were like, "What the fuck is happening to us? They need to not buy this anymore because I'll just drink it and then I'll hate myself."
That shit is toxic waste.
Yep.
I know.
It's what
it's
caused
bad.
the back problems, there's no doubt. Terrible stuff. All right, let's get back on the video games we've been playing. Who wants to go? Gav, what have you been up to outside of Watch Dogs 2 at any rate?
Well, like Jesse, I've been deep into Dishonored 2, which is a Game of the Year contender for me, I think.
Mhm.
Up there with Deus Ex and Titanfall. What else have I been playing? I haven't really played much like brand new stuff, but
Let's talk about Titanfall then, because
Yeah.
I've finished the campaign for that,
Yeah.
just in terms of wanting to get it done for the video. What did you think of that campaign?
me, absolutely loved it. One of the best shooter campaigns I've played in a long time. I was really surprised how much it reminded me at times of Portal and Half-Life 2. I'd almost actually say it's my favorite campaign this year. Like Doom,
Interesting. Okay.
Doom was amazing, but towards the end of Doom, it kind of started to feel a little bit samey towards me, for me. But like in Titanfall 2, every single fight you get into has something new and fresh and unique about it, and I love that.
Does it? How so? Because I didn't feel that way. In fact, that was actually one of my
really?
big complaints about it. What was your perspective on that?
Okay, you tell me why you found they
Okay.
weren't different. Because for me, it's like in one level you've got like
Fucking Jesse.
time powers and what is going on?
I'm ready to talk Titanfall 2 now.
He's shamelessly shilling for a game he hasn't played yet.
I'm ready to talk about it.
No, he's not. He's never played it. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He just sold out.
Is this Jesse? Is this going to be another one of those times when everyone tells me Jesse liked it as well?
It's hard to see.
No, because he hasn't played it. I know he hasn't played it. He's bullshitting.
I was telling Jesse during the break that almost every time I vocally like a game on Twitter, half the replies are, "Yeah, Jesse really likes that one too."
That's weird.
We have similar taste, I think.
All right, let's get in on it then, because it's nice to debate, especially when we have conflicting views. Okay, so I was thinking for a while, like, what is the main problem I have with the campaign? Because I've now played the whole thing, so people can't make the excuse, "Oh, you just play the first hour." It's like, no, I've done the whole thing. So my big problem with this, which is the same problem I think I have with any campaign that does this, is I feel a serious lack of overall progress from start to finish. In terms of progress, it's narrative progress only. You start at one point, and of course the story has an end, and that's the form of the progress. It's a thing that happens a lot in games that have two weapon systems, in my opinion, because they like to leave weapons lying around, and they design it in such a way that they don't know whether or not you're going to have a specific kind of weapon at any given time, which very much limits what you can do in terms of your encounters, because you can't design an encounter around a loadout set that the player may not actually have. It caused problems in Call of Duty. It caused massive problems in Duke Nukem Forever. And I don't like the two-weapon single-player system generally as a result of that. Like, within the first 10 minutes of the game, you have access to 5 to 6 different weapons kind of across the board. And there will be a couple of new ones lying around, but they're never a power increase, because if that were the case, then you might end up at some point not having that gun. So you can't really guarantee a linear, sensible progression in power, nor can you build a proper upgrade system around it. This is why Bioshock Infinite was so fucking broken, because you had a two-weapon system, and yet you had an upgrade system for weapons you may not have, which ended up in a situation where you ended up spending those upgrade points, and I was like, shit, I don't have this weapon now. Well, that's fucking annoying. And you ended up sticking with maybe two weapons just because they were upgraded, not because they were optimal to the situation. Now, if you compare that to the way Doom and Wolfenstein do things, they know at any given time in the game that you are going to have a specific weapon. Not only that, but they also know that the upgrade system for said weapons keeps them competitive as your opposition grows in strength, and allows you to adapt those otherwise limited weapons to more situations. When you don't do that, I feel like it makes it very difficult to create a real gameplay progression from the start, where you're fighting against, Scrubby McDubdub, and then all the way up to the end where you're fighting up against the ultimate fucking horrors of the warp and, the kind of things that Doom does. And I place a great deal of value on that form of progression, whereas I have a feeling that you place value on gameplay variety when it comes and variety in level design, which Titanfall 2 does have in abundance.
We are on the same page. We're talking about this.
Yeah.
During the break,
I think it's fair to say you're a very mechanically focused gamer.
Yes.
Maybe?
Yep. Not only is that a fair assessment, but I've literally said that for the last 5 years. You've got me down to a T on that one.
Whereas for me, I'll forgive a lot of mechanical faults if it's a world and environment that I can get lost in. And
Yep.
I mean, my favorite game is Fallout 3, which is disastrous shooter.
Yeah, and I'll turn around and say New Vegas shat all over it because it was mechanically better. Although, to be fair, I think it was also narratively better as well, which is not something I usually put a priority on.
It's a better shooter, but I prefer Fallout 3 because to me it's more of a relaxing experience wandering around that lovely world. I think it's a different in our fundamental philosophy in what we look for in the games rather than an actual debatable who's right kind of thing here.
Yeah. So, tell me why you did enjoy those aspects of Titanfall so we can get out of the perspective on it.
And, well, you nailed it. You got it on... You hit the nail on the head. It's the environments. I remember one level where I was in a factory and they're building the world you've been seeing around you. They're building.
I think that's level 4. I think that's the one I hated the most, actually. Is that the one with a lot of platforming and wall running in it?
I love that level.
I
There's like all
hated
these crazy platforms, building things, and you're jumping around, running around on them. Then there was another level up on a big warship, and the game in itself has two different play styles with the Titan and the pilot, and I love the way they make those interact. And I don't know, I just loved it, and it felt, not since Half-Life 2 have I felt a linear shooter took me on that much of a journey. It's something I loved about The Last of Us as well, that sense of narrative progression, but also environmental progression, like telling the story in one go, if you get me, rather than globe-trotting like Uncharted does. So
I actually like the globe-trotting aspect is what I like the most out of Wolfenstein. You know, in the case of, it took me on a journey, not only in terms of the different locales that I got to go to, and I went there for logical reasons, not like, so, we're going to put you in Africa now or whatever, but I also enjoyed the way that they handled character progression in that game. When it came to...
That's a fantastic game in both respects.
It is, yeah.
And mechanically.
I think narratively, obviously, like Doom is a lot weaker, as it were, but I value narrative through gameplay. And while it was a simple story that Doom told, it was an effective one, and everything about the gameplay did effectively tell that story. You are supposed to be a literal murder machine, you know, you are the Doom, and what you are doing is entirely logically consistent, even down to the minor details of the Doom guy wouldn't fiddle around with this fucking control console. The Doom guy would fucking punch it. The Doom guy would break this. And he did.
20 seconds of Doom, you know you're playing something special.
Yes. And that's why he's an effective character, because his internal logic is completely consistent, and they don't try and tell more of a story than needs to be told. But when it comes to gameplay, the journey for me is less about the narrative journey and more about the journey of turning, you know, the Doom Marine into, you know, an absolute god of murder, and the opening up the mechanics as you go through the game and allowing it to do that. And upgrade systems are a good way to do it. You don't have to do it. You know, if you look at the original Doom, a lot of that gameplay progression didn't come from upgrade systems. It came from the weapons and accessibility to ammunition to use those weapons on a more regular basis. You can get stuff like, if you take Duke Nukem 3D as an example, you can get the RPG in the first level. That's entirely possible. One of the most powerful weapons in the game is available on level 1. But good luck finding the ammo to use it regularly. So the progression comes not in the fact that this RPG would turn up later down the line, although it does, especially if you ended up missing it the first time, but the ammunition to use it and the enemies that you need to use it on. You don't need the RPG in level 1. You don't. It's cool to have it, but you don't need it. But later on, you do need it. You absolutely need a weapon of that power. And I feel like stuff like Titanfall and stuff like Call of Duty presents you with a set piece and says that you can overcome it with pretty much any gun you can get your hands on, and they'll all be pretty much as good as one another with it. And the two-weapon system at least allows you to say, all right, I need a sniper rifle and a shorter-range weapon, you know.
To counter what you're saying, I agree with you, but for me, with something like Titanfall, it's more about... it's less about change up your weapon for this fight. It's more about change up your playstyle for this fight.
Really? I mean, how did you feel that was the case? Because I felt like every encounter could be basically tackled in the same way.
If you want to, but I mean, the factory level compared to the time level, compared to the last level on the big moving airship and the different ships, just the way the environment moved and interacted with different parts of it and with your avatar, I felt, I don't know, for me, all the fights felt really different because of that. Because I was playing each one a different way. Some of them I'd hang back in cover and shoot, and other ones I'd be running all over walls and jumping on moving platforms. And
yeah, I think it's because I ended up doing the same thing every time. Maybe because I was looking for the optimal way to go through it, and I've settled on one particular playstyle with one particular weapon set and just stuck with it. Because they didn't. Yeah, I feel like I fall into that
everywhere and dying 100 times, and
yeah, I didn't find it. I didn't.
Yeah, I understand you.
you know the feeling, Doug.
The thing that was killing me in that game was not the enemies; it was the fucking bottomless pits. Like, I was dying to platforms, not to enemies, and the enemies didn't really change up all that much. And you did have the option of changing out your Titan loadout, but again, once I found the one that I was comfortable with, I didn't see any reason to. It was almost like, oh, you can change this for the sake of variety, and I feel like a game should never. Variety shouldn't be optional. Variety, it almost should be like mandatory in the way that the game's designed. And giving you a choice in what weapon you use, I don't think is is a well-designed way to create variety, because a lot of gamers will look for the path of least resistance, and really games most of the time are designed exactly to do that. And if you decide to go suboptimal, that's fine, you can do that, but you almost weren't supposed to. Which I think is why I probably found the fights to be very, very similar. But, we look at it definitely from a different perspective. I think mechanically, in terms of progression, there is not a great deal of it. And I've consistently hated almost every campaign that's worked that way. So that's probably why.
That's totally fair, It's just, I think it just comes down to what people look for in the experience
what they value,
of gaming itself, Like for me, it's much less about gaming. For me, has never been about the challenge. In fact, sometimes the only hard games that I like are the Dark Souls series, and if they were a teeny bit more easy, I wouldn't be complaining, because I find getting lost in those worlds is such a beautiful experience and just sucks me in so much that I will bash my head against a wall against a boss in it for 2 hours just so I can see the next one, But I mean, I've spent like 300-400 hours in Skyrim and even on Fallout 4, which was a game that I love, but not as much as the last two. For me, it's about losing myself in another world, and I think that comes from like my childhood when I wasn't a very happy little boy. And a video game was somewhere I could go and just be somewhere else and exist in a different place and enjoy that,
It's really hard for me to get sucked into games now. And that kind of bums me out. Like whenever a big game like Final Fantasy 15, like another game that's come out where I'm like, I hope that when I sit down to play this, I get really sucked in. Like that would be awesome. But I think that one of the things that keeps me from doing that is that hope. Like going into it being like, I hope this is an awesome game.
What happened to you two?
Do you ever think...
What happened to you?
Something happened to me. I don't get immersed either.
Your job affects how you enjoy games in the way that...
Absolutely. 100%.
I do the same job.
When you're being critical of them and thinking about them critically, it can somewhat still... It's why I never read reviews before I play a game, because I don't want anyone's thoughts in my head that I'll be like, oh yeah, there's that flaw they pointed out, or I don't know.
To me, it's like, I thought it's changed my way of thinking over the last 6 years, but I don't necessarily view that as a bad thing, simply because before that, it's like, well, okay, I just had lower standards. And is that a good thing? Some people, sure. You get to enjoy more stuff. I'm kind of glad I have low standards when it comes to movies, because I can enjoy Independence Day Resurgence and all that other random shit alongside good movies like Arrival and all that kind of thing. But with games, I feel like it's so much harder to enjoy something that's not as good, because you physically have to do some fucking work. If I sit down and watch The Scout's Guide to the Zombie Apocalypse, I don't have to fucking work to enjoy that. It's just, it's spoon-fed to me. And it's the Applebee's of movies. I'm being spoon-fed bad, reheated restaurant food, but it's still getting spoon-fed and it's still food. Whereas with games, you have to work to enjoy yourself. And if the framework in order to do that is shit, it's much, much harder to get to that point. You have to work a lot harder to find any meaningful fun in it.
It's how I feel with music, actually, more than games, because I think when you make music, especially when you make it professionally, it can be much harder to enjoy other music, because you're picking out the technical details and a lot of the time the flaws, and it makes it much harder to enjoy bands that you used to love. Like Metallica's new album, man. I'm trying so hard. I just can't get into it.
Just keep comparing it to Saint Anger, and it compares favorably, because everything compares favorably to Saint Anger.
Yeah, shitting in your hand and rubbing it in your ears compares favorably to Saint Anger.
It does. Yes. It does. Dodger, you were going to say something?
Oh, I was going to say, I don't think that it's that that the games that I loved and got sucked into before were bad, and now I can recognize that they're bad. I don't think that it has anything to do with that. I think that it's, when I was a kid, I didn't have anything else to think about. And now that I'm an adult, when I spend a lot of time playing a game in one sitting, eventually like adult me starts to creep in and be like, there's a lot of shit that you have to do today. Like there's other stuff that you need to get done. And
why didn't you do that first, you big dummy?
Sorry, Mom.
Because I was doing other adult things first.
I think
I don't believe that for a minute. How dare you fill this chat with lies? I was doing other adult things before I did adult things. Dodger! No! I don't believe it. I don't believe it. I don't believe when you tweet I burnt popcorn, you're not doing adult things. You're not.
I know. I was stressing about adult things, and then I put popcorn in the microwave for the amount of time that it said that you're supposed to cook popcorn, which was my first mistake because everybody knows you're supposed to put it in for 2 minutes and then see how it goes. But instead, I put it in for 4 minutes, what it said on the thing, and at 3 minutes, my house was filled with smoke and it smelled terrible, and it still smells terrible this morning. So,
holy shit! My 12-year-old could do this better than you.
Wow. I do see where you're coming from though, because like a friend of mine, Gray, who works at The Escapist, I think phrased this very well. He said the busier he gets, the less patience he has for games he feels are wasting his time.
Yes. I'm exactly in the same position. It's why I don't like open world stuff most of the time anymore. But I understand why people who are in a different position that have time to kill do. Because they're like, oh, I don't mind doing this side activity. For me, it's like, fuck that. You know, Titanfall 2 is a great example of that. Collect the fucking helmets. Why? Doesn't give you anything. Nothing. No point in there doing that at all. And then to be like, yeah, I'm going to go collect the helmets. Like, no! Why would I waste time doing that? That's fucking stupid.
Well, it's the same thing when I hear certain individuals in this office talk about how they're going to do the 30-hour Final Fantasy boss. And I'm like, that is stupid. Like,
you're in an office with someone called the Completionist. How are you surprised by this?
Well, it's not just it's the other one. It's her man too. I'm not.
Him. What the fuck's he doing?
This strategy.
I'm gonna do it together and swap off.
That is literally painful to me to hear. Like, I exist in a world where games should be entertaining, and if it entertains me, that's stuff I love. I don't like, and I'm with you on this whole thing. Like, easy games are fun too. In fact, some games could stand to be easier, and I'd love those just as much. But when I hear 30 hours for a boss, that doesn't seem like a challenge. It seems like just it's going to take you a very long time to whittle time down. Yeah, it's probably going to be really boring for, I don't know, 29.999 of those hours.
Is it possible to be defeated by that boss when he's on a sliver of health?
Probably. I don't know.
That would probably be the most rage-inducing gaming.
God,
experience.
Fuck that.
Yeah, I did
that in WoW 10 years ago. No one do it now.
It's actually 72 hours. Someone in chat's like, is it 30 hours in game? No, it's 72 in-game hours, which I believe translates to 30 real game hours.
Wow.
Or
all
real life
no.
hours. So
a big pile of no.
Yeah. But again, that's some people's version of fun, which I get.
Well, some people's like, it's a challenge. It's a challenge of patience. It's not difficult. It's just most people aren't going to be able to do it because they don't have 30 fucking hours to spare nor the patience to stick around. You know, being able to sit on your ass for 30 hours isn't the skill.
Yeah, it's one of those things where a game can be shit, but as long as I'm entertained by the shit, I will enjoy it and be like, I would recommend this to everyone. And it's the same thing with movies and all that stuff. As long as I can come out of it entertained, be it for work or for just pleasure, I will always enjoy what I'm doing. And things that don't entertain me, I immediately stop playing within minutes. So I feel like I got it down. I got the flow of my life down.
I hear you.
A fairly similar position, I think. Speaking of like something that really shouldn't entertain me, but I fell back into the fucking Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes mobile fucking
Why?
hole.
Why?
Because they have spaceships now. You of all people should appreciate that.
That doesn't mean that it's good.
But it's Star Wars. You listen to Star Wars audiobooks. They're trash, and you like them anyway.
Look.
You understand.
Hold up. Some of them are great. Tarkin's great.
Some. And some are awful.
Yeah, but some games are good and some are awful, and this happens to be one of the awful ones.
Nah. It's fine. Like, they have a full-on space combat system now, which is good. They got raids and stuff. It's business ball's fucking horrible, but the actual gameplay is pretty cool. You get to have different fighter ships, and you can put different dudes in them depending on who, like, in terms of the lore, was flying them, and it gives them different abilities. You get to buff up a capital ship that accompanies you. So I have the executrix with Tarkin accompanying my little fighter squad, and he gets to do like support abilities and stuff like that. And he shakes his fist every time one of the fighters dies in the corner, which is funny. It's got a lot more to it now. It's good. It's like I sank so much fucking money into it initially.
The last game you got really lost in.
I don't get really lost. I play it like for an hour every night because that's like how long it takes to kind of do all the daily stuff, and then that's kind of it. I don't think you get lost in a game like that because it has energy bars, which kind of prevents you from doing so. It's not good. Like it's certainly not good, but in terms of just like a straight up 5v5 RPG battle game, it's all right.
Dodger and Jesse, what was the last game that really, when we were talking about like a game like that you want that experience again, that you just really get lost in it, what was the last ones that happened for you guys?
The last game that I really loved, I would say, would be Owlboy.
It's not like you got lost in it kind of thing. Is that
But
what you're talking
I wouldn't say I got lost in it because it wasn't long enough for me to get lost in it, really.
Yeah, Jim has a lot of good things to say about that one. I haven't tried it.
It's
great.
It's a really good
Beautiful.
game.
I haven't touched it because I don't like platformers, but it's a beautiful looking game nonetheless.
The last game I really got lost in, I mean, I got caught up in. I don't know that I got lost in. I got caught up in Until Dawn, in that I tried to keep children alive, and that was the most tense experience of. Like, that was a long 8 hours. I was like, oh,
That was such a good game.
Easy to fuck it up too with certain guys.
Like a David Cage game, but good.
Yeah.
Wait, which one? Sorry.
Until Dawn.
Oh, yeah.
I got
That game was
super.
fantastic.
Here's the thing: is usually I don't play a game unless I already know going in that I'll get caught up in it, and so like, you know, things like Life is Strange, stuff like that, where I was just like, get the fuck out! I'm gonna make shit right with these two girls. Like things like I think as long as it is a story that's compelling and I'm somewhat interested, I get caught up in it. Which I think is why I repeatedly find myself playing metagames where I'm like, there's something more than just like, I'm a character who slays things, right? There's something hidden, something more that I can be a part of in the story. And I like that. I like the idea that you're not just playing a game, but sort of you're experiencing something.
Yeah.
Total opposite for me. I skip cutscenes like a motherfucker. The last game that I got really engrossed in was Civ 6.
Sam, and I'm like, what?
Yeah, it's because he's the same kind of guy that I am. Like he plays competitively even in single player games. Like he's competing with the game, and that's where his entertainment comes from. Which means
Really? Isn't
mechanically
he competing with
I
himself?
presume.
Yeah. Well, no. I mean, you're competing with the designer is what you're competing with. You know.
I
No, but,
presume
like-
you're not a Kojima fan then.
No, because there's too many fucking cutscenes. Like, there's not like Metal Gear Solid 5 doesn't have great mechanics. It does, but when the first 2 hours is sneak under fucking tables and run from Fire Whale is like.
Yeah, but that's fucking awesome.
No, it's
Tune
not.
in
I'd
for
watch it.
Fire
That's a
Whale.
fucking movie. It's why Quantum Break is a waste
At
of
least you
fucking
could
time.
pause them this time around. There is
Sam's
no
here.
pain.
Huh?
I can't see you, but
Sam, we know
It
you're
was-
just competing with
We'll
yourself.
talk to
It was your fiance who was talking shit about you. That had nothing to do with
Looking
me.
at you
I
two.
agree with you. I agree with
Talk
you.
to us. Let
I'm
us
on
know
your
you're
side.
competing with. It's in here, Sam. It's in here.
No, you're competing with the designers. You're not competing with
No,
yourself.
It's competing with himself.
You got to beat the
Every day
challenge
he
that
wakes up,
designers
he's
put in
like,
front
I
of
can do
you.
better.
Thank
I
you,
can do
TB.
better than me.
Thank you.
It's like people that fucking
Jesse,
do
you're
books
never
of
gonna finish the
Sudoku.
game, by the way. Never.
I know.
You haven't
I
finished The
know.
Witcher. You know how long
The
that
fuck,
took me to do
Gerard?
the
What is
side quest?
happening right now?
Do the
It's
side quest
multiplying.
in 300 hours, and there's DLC coming. You're never going to beat this game. You'll die. You'll die before it finishes.
You guys don't understand, Sam. You're competing with yourself.
I'm out of here.
No.
The truth bomb hit him so
I hear
hard.
one more thing,
It hit him,
all right?
it hit him so hard.
Oh my
Oh.
god. He gets it.
All right. Yeah.
He-
Then they made it weird.
Metal Gear Rising's best Metal Gear game. Only good Metal Gear game.
That's a phenomenal game, but it's phenomenal. in that
The
it's-
only one I gave up halfway through.
What? What? How can you possibly? It's 8
it-
hours of metal as fuck, is what it is.
Yeah, the music was fucking fantastic. That was my favorite thing about the game, actually.
Oh god, fighting Chainsaw Dog? Why would you not want to fight Chainsaw Dog? It's like, I'm a dog, got a chainsaw for a tail, woo. It's great.
I'm not very good at those kind of games, and I get angry.
So good.
you know what game I played and I was thinking about it for like weeks after I played it? It was Fury.
Yeah?
I loved that game. I loved that game so much. I loved the music. I loved the fights. I loved that
What
they
is,
were like
is it a beat 'em up
fights.
or?
It is. It's a boss rush. The whole game's bosses. It's bosses and walking, and
God,
like
that game
each of
is
them kind of
so fun.
each of them sort of play a little bit differently. There's like a bit of bullet hell in there. There's a bit of Bayonetta in there and God of War. There's a bit of fighting game in there. It's weirdly like Fury is not a game I enjoy, but it's a game I respect because it's all mechanical difficulty.
I'm
That's
with
all
you.
it is.
I didn't like that game at all, but I understand why people like it. I
Yes.
get why
Loved
people like it. It's a not a me game. Like, I know what I love, and that's beyond what I'm capable of tolerating. The salt levels were mighty high.
Yeah, it takes it to an extreme that that is past what I enjoy. But it's because I'm not like a big I just want to fight bosses kind of guy. That's not, I like fighting the trash. I like fighting the meat of the grunts and everything like that, and progressing through. And there's another game where progression's not a thing. In terms of there is a progression in difficulty, but in terms of your kit's always going to be the same. But that's also the appeal of it. That's also why it's good, because you have your tool set, and your tool set is laid out in front of you from minute one. And it's like, this is what you're going to get, that you've got to beat everything in the game with this. Go.
Do you like the Soul series, TB?
I would if it wasn't as hard as it was. Like, again, I don't like going through and having to repeatedly do the same shit over and over again. I'm also terrible when it comes to navigation, and that's a game which makes navigation challenging, and as a result, I get fucking lost all the time. I beat Demon Souls, but after that, I was just like, all right. I played like a good few hours of Dark Souls, and then I just rapidly burned out and said, I can't do this. This is too hard, and I don't have the time for this shit.
Not for me. I love those fights where it's like, okay, I need to figure out how this fight works and what your patterns are, and eventually I will beat you. Even if it takes me like 40 tries, I will eventually win, and it's going to feel so satisfying. And that's why I loved Fury, because
I think it
does that.
I think it has to do with your definition of a power fantasy. Like,
Maybe.
everyone, like, and when it comes to gaming, right? Everyone, the reason why they like being the hero for whatever reason is because it's like I'm the new powerful guy and I can do this and this. And many people are the Dodger version of a power fantasy, where it's like, I'm the scrappy dude who fights and fights and fights and fights and finally wins. There's many people like me. My power fantasy is I'm 20 levels above you when I finally meet you and then destroy you.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's like
I did the side quests in the Witcher 3 kind of character, and now I'm like 17 levels above the story.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, I'm so more powerful than you, and I think that's my power fantasy. Where it's like, I'm so powerful, you're nothing. Like, basically, I'm the bad guy by the end of the story. Like,
Yeah.
I'm murdering everyone. I was like, because I spent 3 hours leveling up and killing.
Yeah,
rabbits in
because
a
you
forest,
work
and now-
towards that. Yeah, there is a degree of satisfaction available in that too. Yeah, because I like tweaking. I like having the best shit. I play the same in Civilization, in Master of Orion, in like all 4Xs. I like being the technologically superior guy that at a whim can crush an empire with a flick of the wrist. That kind of thing. And it's like, I worked for that. I worked to be overpowered as shit. Don't take that away from me.
Nah.
That's why I get it
So
from.
You didn't work for that
Minute.
M16 though.
I will admit there's an element of that. It used to be when I played Populous, I used to deliberately switch sides. I'd get overpowered, and that game let you switch to the other faction, and then I'd pull the comeback and become overpowered as those guys, and then I'd switch back and do that, which was an odd. But that's also when I had time. Now I just want to. It's like, I fucking won. Bang! You're just obliterate. I have nuclear weapons in 1620. You're all fucked. Let's go. That's fun to me. That's power fantasy.
Yeah, it's one of those things where I enjoy the fact that, for like, Civilization 6 is a great example, and that it's just like, I've bided my time, and all you fools attack me as I just sit here, and I have nukes, and it's 1713. I'm just like, excellent, let it begin, and just nuke everyone. It's such a good feeling, but at the same time, I totally get when people are like, I worked 5 hours to beat this boss, and it's the greatest feeling that I did that, and I succeeded. 20 minutes into that boss fight, I've been like, well, I don't think this is the game for me. Like, this is just two different things. Like, I know when to call it quits on my own, and when to be like, I'll wait, and then
It's
I'll
a very difficult thing to balance, I would imagine, for designers in how you make it difficult in a way that makes people want to keep trying, you know? For me, as I said, Souls is the only series that's ever succeeded at making me want to keep playing a hard game.
Yeah. I mean, it's two sides of the same coin. You still work to beat the boss, you just worked in a different way. We worked in a way that we became numerically superior, and you worked in a way that you became mechanically superior.
I want to fight the power, and you want to be the power.
Yeah, absolutely.
I want to fight the power, but then
No.
I want to end like the last 30 minutes of Hunger Games. The power, like
You
yes, I totally fought for the power, or like now I'm the power, like that kind of.
You want to fight the power and beat the power with your power.
Of course,
yes,
with
and
more
then
power.
become the power and stop everyone else.
What better way to beat the power than have more power than the power? Of course you should do that.
Please,
It's perfect.
weasel my way. I'm little fingering life, guys. It's just a matter of time.
You heard it here first, folks. No.
He's little fingering life, everybody.
So
I thought I was back on Podquisition there for a second.
we like to make you feel at home here on the show. So, Rapid Fire Blitz. I played like 7 or 8 older games like this week just for the sake of it. I played The Division again, survival mode.
Nice.
It's good. If you hated The Division but like the idea of a sort of Hunger Games battle royal, this independent mode is one you can just go into. There's 23 other dudes. You start with a pistol and you don't even have a scarf, for fuck's sake. You start with a tiny shitty jacket, and it's like, I'm freezing to death. I need to make a scarf. I need to make better warm weather clothes. I need to get a weapon. I need to fashion a mask. The mask gets me into the dark zone. I fight the tough dudes. I have to fashion a flare gun, and that lets me summon the helicopter. It's really good fun. Really, really cool mode.
PvP?
Yes, a PvP or PvE. You can play both modes. If you don't like being shot in the back by some random dude, you can turn that off. You get more experience if you play the PvP mode. It's like the Dark Zone, only a shit ton better. It's basically what the Division should have been from the start. As an independent mode, even if you don't even play the rest of it, that mode is great, because everyone starts on an even playing field, which is awesome. And there are a few other Battle Royale games, and they're all in early access right now, like the Culling and H1Z1 and stuff like that, King of the Kill. So it's pretty cool. I like that. I played... For some stupid fucking reason, I said, I'm going to go play Call of Duty World at Wars multiplayer. I think it's after I played Modern Warfare Remastered, I'm like, oh, okay, that was kind of neat. Let's just go out and play the older CODs in their multiplayer, because there's a lot of mods now for World at War. Like, World at War still actually has an active player base on PC, because it had fucking servers, like real games are supposed to have. So I went on that, and I ended up in some mod server, and... we unleashed the dogs, and that was great fun, and there was a ton of bots, so it was a really big battle. That was kind of neat. That was kind of fun to play. I understand why people still like that game. That was entertaining. I went and reinstalled Star Wars Empire at War, and I installed the Thrawn's Revenge mod, which has got all the eras in it. You could summon Grand Admiral Thrawn. It has like 5 factions instead of 2. I played a bunch of... skirmish with that. That's a shit ton of fun still. I'm going to probably play a campaign of that. I will say on Windows 10, if you alt-tab it, it literally crashes your entire PC, so you might not want to do that. But outside of that, it does work fine. So I want to play a full campaign. I want to build the Eclipse Star Destroyer. You could build that. That's still like one of the best Star Wars games that's ever been made. That's super fun. So I played a bunch of that. Reinstalled XCOM 2 so that I could put Sam in tight leather hot pants.
I saw it was quality.
Very worthwhile.
Very bright.
They added a ton of cosmetic options to because they put new DLC in that game. That game is a wholly different game for what it was on launch now, because it has a ton of new DLC and mods. So I installed 5 different mods from Long War Studios, put all of the cosmetics in, and you can now put people in like Fallout-style post-apocalyptic gear, give them mohawks and biker helmets and voodoo top hats and stuff like that. So that's really cool. Started playing that again. I'll probably do a full playthrough again before Christmas. So that's awesome. A little bit of Watch Dogs 2, but not too much. I do want to do a bit more of that later. Ashes of the Singularity. I installed that because that has a new standalone piece of expansion content. That is a RTS from, I think it's the same guys that made Sins of Solar Empire. And it's a kind of simplified Total Annihilation Supreme Commander-esque game. Very sort of grand scale. You can build thousands of fucking units and have a big blob and throw the big blob at the other dude's big blob and watch the lasers fight. That kind of thing. So it's a bit simple compared to stuff like Supreme Commander. I still think Supreme Commander is a much better game. But it's very easy to get into this one. Like, if you're not much of an RTS player, it's very easy to build a big army with some big fun shit in it and fight with it. So that, I think, is an advantage. Also on the RTS one, I played 8-Bit Hordes, which is the sequel to 8-Bit Armies, which is by Petroglyph, some of the ex-Command & Conquer guys. they decided we're going to make an old school basic RTS with kind of Minecraft-esque graphics, and we're going to do it so that you can mix fantasy and like real world armies. So their second game was 8-Bit Hordes, which is like Warcraft, and their first game was like Command and Conquer, and their third game's going to be like sci-fi shit. And you can mix all those factions together and fight. So I played against the dude with tanks, but I had orcs and ogres and cyclops and shit. And that game came out with one faction initially, which is what made it stupid on launch. They should have never launched with one faction. They're now 4, and it's much better. Hell of a lot more fun to play. Very simple. Very simple. You'll be immediately familiar with it if you've played CNC or Warcraft 2. But it's still pretty fun. So I played a bunch of that. And yeah.
I was going to say, I play Pokemon.
Yeah, I imagine you did. I still haven't got around to that.
Pokemon?
Told me about Pokemon Sun and Moon. I still need to download that. I haven't got around to it.
I'm playing Pokemon Moon. For those of you who don't know, Pokemon Sun and Moon are set up 12 hours apart. So people who are playing Sun, the day is normal. So like if you're playing it during actual daytime, it'll be daytime in your game. If you're playing it during actual nighttime, it'll be nighttime in your game. If you are playing Moon, then it's swapped. And there are some Pokemon that you can only get during the day and some Pokemon you can only get during the night.
Mm-hmm.
So some people are changing the clocks in their
Of course they are.
to like try and figure out where
Naturally.
the right Pokemon are. The mechanic that I think is the most interesting that they've added in is calling for help. There are some Pokemon you can only find if a specific Pokemon calls for help.
Okay.
And randomly, like this one Pokemon comes to aid them.
Mm-hmm.
The idea is that once you get a Pokemon down to a level where you could catch them with a Pokeball, they have a percentage chance to call for help, in which case, more often than not, the exact same Pokemon will show up. So like if you're attacking a Caterpie, it'll call for other Caterpies to come and save it, right?
Mm-hmm.
People are starting to chain Pokemon this way because you have a better chance of getting a shiny. You also have way better stats for anybody who's trying to put together a competitive team. You also have way better stats on the Pokemon that you catch after, I think it's 40 chains. So if you chain
that aspect of it.
Yeah, it actually doesn't take that long. I only know this because I watched Sam do it. Not watched. We were watching TV and I glanced over and was like, oh, you're already at 30. Good job, bud. But it doesn't take that long to do it. You just have to be careful because if the Pokemon that you're fighting against runs out of PP or like runs out of mana, if it runs out of PP, then it does a normal attack called a struggle where it hurts itself. So if you like hurt a Pokemon down to almost nothing,
knocks
and they call
itself
for help,
out,
and then you kill the one that it called for help, and then killed the one that it called for help over and over and over again, eventually it's not gonna. That first Pokemon isn't going to have anything left to give, right? And it's going to start just struggling, and then it's going to kill itself, and you'll lose your chain. So people are starting to like try to figure out how to be smarter about how they chain things. But what I do love is there are certain Pokemon that literally the only way you can get them is because they will respond to a help call from a totally different Pokemon.
Yeah,
either because they eat that Pokemon, or they're like. They have like maternal instincts. Like Kangaskhan, I think, will show up if a Cubone is crying.
Pokemon each other?
Yeah, dude.
Sure.
Pokemon is brutal.
I didn't know they had a food chain. I thought it was all.
Pokemon
They're
totally
all friends
eat
with each other? No. Someone's got to be bottom of that food chain.
Yeah. So
it's Pikachu's, by the way.
That part of it has been fun. I really love Mimikyu. He's a creepy, sad, terrifying ghost, and I want to be his friend.
Fucking Undertale, the Pokemon. Ugh.
He's a ghost Pokemon that's so terrifying that no one will interact with him, not even other ghosts. So he dresses up like a Pikachu because he knows everybody loves Pikachus. But
did you see the anime? Did you see the anime explanation?
Yeah, that he
hates Pikachu.
Hates Pikachu. Yeah, because everybody loves Pikachu and nobody loves him. So he hates Pikachu, but he still dresses up like Pikachu to try and get friends. And I'm just like, And he also, like, it's implied that the curses that he has would drive somebody mad enough that they would just die. And I'm just like, Mimikyu, you're so fucked up. Please be my Pokemon.
Pokemon's a lot darker than I thought.
It is. Yeah, it's good. I love it. So I've been playing that. Not nearly as fast. Sam beat it within like a couple of days. And
Surprising nobody ever.
Yeah, not surprising anyone. I'm, I think, a third of the way through it. I'm not sure. I've just been kind of like leisurely playing it. It's been precious and fun. I like the alternate versions of Pokemon. I like that Meowth is super sassy and that Raticate is real fat.
His big old fat cheeks are so fun.
Yeah, he's so fat.
Jesus.
I was like, Raticate.
He's like,
Yeah,
he's amazing.
it's great. I love
Oh
it.
man.
So yeah, there's that.
Cool. I was at a barcade last night and played a few things. Fucking Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is still incredible. Just want to point that out. As if anyone doubted it. Oh, the
I'm
game is
disappointed
so
all
good.
those Marvel 4 things were so fake.
Uh-huh.
So fake.
They're not going to make another one. It's just, it didn't make enough money. And also, that game is really hard. I don't know if people have noticed, but to actually play that game on a high level is really fucking difficult.
But it's so cool.
I used to think I was good
though.
at that, and then I played against someone that actually was, and it was painful. Holy shit. But I got, they had an arcade machine of Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder in that. Which was, I never played that version. I love the Golden Axe series, but I never played that. It was
How
a
old
night.
a game is that?
1992, arcades only. I don't believe it was ever ported to anything. And it's actually cooler than all the others, although it has some really fucking stupid characters in it. Because you remember the first two, you got your dwarf dude, Gilius Thunderhead, you've got Tiras Flare, the sexy Amazon, and then you've got Axe Battler, who doesn't battle with an axe, he battles with a sword, but, you know, of course he does. And he was super sexy loincloth man. And then, I think it was, there's Golden Axe 2 had the same dudes, and Golden Axe 3 had some new characters. Golden Axe Revenge of the Death Adder is fucking bizarre. They have none of the original characters in it, except for Gilius, except he rides on a giant this time. He doesn't fight himself, he's on a giant's shoulders. They have Sternblade the Barbarian, Dora is a female centaur, and Little Trix, a young lad with a pitchfork. His magical power is tomatoes. He summons fruit. He summons fucking fruit. It's got, like, it's animation-wise, it's amazing. Like, it looks so much better than the other Golden Axe. It's got a ton more attack animations and things like that, a lot more detail. Again, that guy summons fruit, which confused the shit out of me. But there's a ton of different things. You can, like, use siege weapons. Like, there's little tiny mini catapults in some levels. You can sit on the catapult and throw rocks at people. They have a ton of new mounts. They have a praying mantis that breathes fire. They have an electric scorpion, because of course they do. Giant electric scorpion, and a bunch of other really crazy shit. It's
none
awesome.
of which is as cool as tomatoes, by the way. I mean,
No, the ability to summon tomatoes.
Tagline for the game should
Super
be
powerful.
His superpower is tomatoes.
Yep, it is tomatoes. I would love to see a proper remake of Golden Axe, not Beast Rider. We don't count that, but yeah, that's actually great. I need to download that on MAME and play it, because that is actually way better than all the others.
This game looks great.
It is. It supports 4 players on a cabinet as well, 4-player co-op, which is really great. But yeah, it reminded me a lot of like the Dungeons and Dragons arcade game, which was also really awesome, and you can get on Steam now.
The centaur lady uses that. Remember American Gladiators?
The pugil stick.
She uses one of those. That's amazing.
Yeah. Oh, you know what the weird thing is about the centaur lady? When she loses her legs when she jumps on a mount.
What?
Yeah, her legs just disappear. She becomes a normal person. Because it's a giant scorpion. It's like, this is cooler than my legs, so I get rid of my legs so I can ride the giant scorpion.
A boss just suplexed the centaur lady. That was amazing.
So cool. There's a bunch of great wrestling moves and shit in it. It's so good. What we also saw at that place, which is called a Bari in Charlotte, is they have a killer queen cabinet. I think there's only about 15 of those things in total. It's a new indie game that's a 10-player cabinet. Again, they don't have many of these things. They're about, if you want to buy one, it's about $15,000 for the cabinet. It was premiered at New York University's 4th No Quarter exhibition for indie arcade games. And it was like named Game of the Year. And there's about 15 of them, I think, in the country. And these guys are one of them. And it was the most popular thing there by a country mile, because it's a 5-on-5. It's like 5-on-5 Towerfall, but with some other objectives.
Oh, holy shit! Yes.
It's got a bunch of like there's 2 teams and there's like 3 different ways to win, and it's played with 10 people. It is amazing. I've never seen anything like it, and it's so cool to see that they're making new arcade machines. Obviously, very, very limited amounts. But this thing, yeah, they have one, and it was like the entire night we were there, everyone was just playing it constantly because it's like this is, it is very much like kind of Towerfall, but 10-player. You can get, I think there's a cheaper version of the arcade cabinet, but the one that they're using is the full-on 10-player giant widescreen version. That was so cool. I was a big fan of that. I also got to play the next generation pinball game, which is my favorite pinball game ever. Star Trek TNG Pinball. Fucking love pinball. It's mechanical art. The way that those machines are designed is so intriguing to me. You can make them do so many things. It's like, wow, but you're doing this for real. This is real components that are making these things happen, not some fucking video game mechanic. And that's amazing to me. That is just incredible that they did that. Yeah, Killer Queen. Have a look at that. There's not a lot of info on the net about it, but yeah, you go and have a look at Killer Queen. It's an incredible thing.
Does it have the Queen song in it?
I'm going to go with the assumption they did not have the money to license that.
Boo!
She's a killer queen.
Yeah, it's such an awesome thing. Yeah, we were at the barcade with Xavier Woods last night. He's better than me at Marvel. He's better than me at Marvel, I'll say that. Oh, not by much, though. I did kill 2 of his characters, so, he needs to get a bit of practice in there. It's like, oh, I'm so busy with my international wrestling career. It's like, yes, okay. And my super successful YouTube show. La-di-da.
I played another game.
Yeah, what you got?
I can talk about super quick.
Of course.
Called Overcooked.
Oh, I've been wanting to play this for ages. This looks great.
It's really fun. It's a 2 to 4 player game where each level is a totally different laid out kitchen.
Mm-hmm.
And you are trying to optimize like how to put together meals, deliver them, wash dishes, make meals. Like
it's co-op as well.
Yeah. It's so fun. I played it with my family and it got real intense.
Yep. Absolutely.
Some of the levels wind up being weird. Like you go into it and you think, oh, this is a pretty easily laid out kitchen, so we take a minute. We're like, okay, well, I'll wash the dishes and it looks like right next to us is a chopping station. So I can chop. And then, if we're backed up at all, then I can also do dishes, and like everybody chooses what they're going to do. And then in the middle of the level, like the whole map splits in half and whoever happens to be on either side is like stuck there. We're like,
wow.
No.
Thank God for that. Because when you used washing dishes and fun in the same sentence, I was getting a little bit skeptical.
Hey, I say this as a board game lover. You can certainly make a board game with any theme fun. Like, there's a really fun game which is nothing about making like jewelry in a Renaissance Italy. And there's games about like traffic, moving traffic around and stuff like that. If you use the right mechanics, you can make any theme fun.
It's true.
And this one in particular, like, I love the idea of turning the hectic nature of a kitchen into a cooperative game.
It is so... You realize very, very quickly that you have to communicate with each other.
Yes.
Because otherwise everybody's doing the wrong thing and you're putting stuff where it's not supposed to be, and like, oh my God, I grabbed an onion, but you grabbed an onion. That's my job. That's not your job.
That's the best co-op. Like, I always... And I rant about this a lot, and I still believe it, that most co-op games are shit at being co-op games. Because they're just co-op because they can be, not because they have to be. Borderlands, great example. That's a game that does not have to be co-op at all. There's plenty of other games that don't have to be co-op at all. They just happen to be co-op. But games like this, they have to be, because communication...
You mean boosting your buddy onto a ledge every 5 levels isn't meaningful co-op?
Apparently not, so I'm told. These horde mode games, like... shit like fucking Shadow Warrior. At least with Army of Two, you had like an aggro system where you could pull aggro for the other guy. At least that tried, but there's so many co-op games that are just like, we're going to tick co-op as a feature, but we never designed our game to be that. So it's not really a co-op game, it's fake. It's fake co-op. Stuff like this, where you have to play cooperatively, that's the real shit.
Yeah.
When you mentioned Shadow Warrior there, I'm so sorry to completely change the topic backwards here. I meant to say something about that game earlier when Jesse was talking about game difficulties, and Shadow Warrior's difficulty modes have different descriptions, and the easy mode says this mode. It's for people who've had a long day at work and just want to come home and feel like a
I
fucking
appreciated
superhero.
Yeah.
I thought that was awesome.
Considering there's a lot of games that, and I don't view this as a big deal whatsoever, I'm not fucking Vice gaming, I'm not going to cry about this shit, but when it comes down to, like, there are some games that sort of shame you for playing a lower difficulty, like Wolfenstein, where it's like, don't hurt me.
Funny, though.
Yeah, it is funny. It absolutely, anyone that legitimately complains about that is just an overly sensitive little snowflake, but it is also appreciated when a game recognizes why you would play that mode, And that Shadow Warrior, for all its faults, I don't like Shadow Warrior 2 at all. I don't think it's very good. But for all its faults, that gameplay mode description exactly nails why a lot of people play the easier modes, because the challenge. That's the beautiful thing about video games. Games don't have to be challenging to be fun. Right. Which is awesome, because there are so few other forms of media that could sacrifice something so important and yet remain viable as an entertainment medium. And gaming is one of those. It's the same thing when we were talking about voice acting. Games can survive bad voice acting, whereas most films and television shows cannot. Those things are so important. And it's wonderful to see a game like embracing that fact that, yeah, you want to play... It's a single-player game. You want to play easy? That's up to you. Like, you enjoy this game on whatever level you want to fucking enjoy it on, because you're not ruining anyone else's experience by being allowed to do that. Which, by the way, is the reason why, and you can come crucify me as much as you fucking want for this, that I do have absolutely no issue with the notion of Dark Souls having an easy mode. It's people have made arguments that Dark Souls would never be... that has no value beyond that, but I think people like that actually don't truly understand that there are other ways to enjoy that game. That game has a lot more to offer than just being hard.
I was going to say...
sorry.
I was just going to say, if decreasing the difficulty made it so that the game was garbage, it wasn't a very good game to begin with.
Exactly. That is 100% fucking true. We have the same argument with StarCraft, where people are like, oh, if you make queens auto-inject, it ruins the game. Or if you count the number of workers mining, it ruins the game. Really? Is the game so fucking fragile that it would completely implode in on itself if such a minor change was made? Do you think that this game is that shallow? Because it's not. There are shit tons of other great things about this game that not only stand on their own, even if you take this shit away, but might even get a little better if you do. It allows you to focus on the things that truly matter, the meat of the game.
I agree. On one hand, I can see where the Dark Souls fans come from on that one, because the world it's meant to feel so oppressive.
Meant to feel oppressive, yes, yeah. I will give them that.
Difficulty somewhat, it kind of adds to that.
Yes.
But I don't think an easy mode would ruin it, and I think for a lot of people it would help them enjoy the game more.
It would to me. It would to me. I think that I don't think they're wrong when they linked the difficulty to the overall like world building aspect of oppressiveness and things like that. I think they make a very valid point, but I think the world's also strong enough to stand without that. You don't have to. There are easier ways to play that game. I get that. There are much easier play styles, but that doesn't... there's a lot of stuff in that game which is still real fucking hard, and it doesn't get rid of the aspect of you've got to go back to here, and all the enemies respawn. You've got to do this over and over and over again. And the idea that co-op is the difficulty option, okay, but some people don't want to play with others. They still want to play single player. So that's not as viable as it sounds for everybody.
Bloodborne was the only one of that I won't say series because they're different. You know what I mean? It was the only one where the difficulty actually stopped me from finishing the DLC, because I was just... It got to a point where I got into... It was the first boss, I think, in the first or second DLC, and he just smashed me within 2 seconds. Couldn't read the attacks, couldn't tell when he was going to, and I was like, yeah, now I've hit the point where I can't be arsed. You know?
It's interesting.
It was so fucking hard that I just couldn't be arsed.
It's interesting, because it's something that you can, if you go back in time, you can look at games being really hard, but every one of those games had cheat codes. Like, Sonic 2 is one of my favorite games of all time. Have I ever beat it from start to finish? No. I fucking use skip level cheats. I skipped half the fucking levels and then beat Death Egg without going through any of the other stuff. And then I went back and played that other stuff later. I'll freely admit to that. I cheated my ass off in that. I cheated my ass off in all the Sonic games. Didn't fucking matter.
Did
No, it's-
anyone ever not use the Konami code on Contra
Probably
slash
not.
Probotector, which it was
Yeah,
called
Super Probotector in
was
Europe,
it
yeah.
Probotector in the UK as well? Because that's what it was. in
Yes. Probotector and Super Probotector rather than Contra. I'm not sure why they changed that, but yeah, it's the games don't have cheat codes anymore. There was here's a prime example. Fucking Titanfall 2. I was looking for a skip level cheat to get past level 4 because it's shit, and I will freely
What
add.
level is level 4? Is that the?
That's the platforming bullshit factory level.
That's one of the best levels.
It's awful. It's the worst. It's what I don't play those. And I'll freely admit this, and I'll freely admit this in my own damn video. I got someone else's save file and replaced mine so that I could skip that level. Simple as that. I played 3/4 of that level and then lost my shit and just went to the rest of it. And I'm happy to admit that because it's my fucking entertainment product and I can enjoy it however fucking well damn I please. It's single player.
No, you'll enjoy it the way I want
No,
you to.
I will
You're a
fucking
noob.
not. I will absolutely not. Cheating in single player games is totally fucking fine. Cheating is pro-consumer. Cheating is consumer choice, is what that is. And if you prevent people from doing it and your excuse is the achievements, turn the fucking achievements off then, you stupid fucking merit badges. Are you 7 years old? Do you need your fucking merit badge to justify what you just did? No, you don't, because you're a grown-up. You don't need your little damn merit badge. I don't need that.
I do.
Achievements are shit. Achievements are maybe one of the worst things ever added. Like, they'd be fine if they were totally optional, people didn't put so much fucking value on them, but they're literally designing games around their existence now, and that bothers the fuck out of me. Because it's probably half the reason you can't cheat anymore in single-player games.
As a medium are so malleable and exploitable anyway. That
Yeah, of course. It's one of the best things about them.
cheating in single-player games is just,
The same fucking people
hard
whine
to
about
even
modding.
define. It's
like-
it's having a level 90 guy in Fallout 4 cheating because it sure feels like it.
Fine by me. That's if that's
Yeah.
what you want for your fucking power fantasy. Again, if you think that you can derive value from a game in a different way than the designers originally intended, then more power to you. And in fact, that's actually a compliment to the designers as opposed to an insult. That's not saying, my artistic vision. It's like, no, you created something more than what your artistic vision is.
Dishonored being a
we can enjoy it on
perfect-
that
Have
level.
you seen those playthroughs of Dishonored by I think his name is like Stealth Gamer BR something, or
Mm-hmm.
he does these incredible high chaos Dishonored playthroughs where he'll go through the whole level in like a minute and a half using the most impressive ways to kill everyone. Definitely worth watching because it makes you look at the game in a completely different way.
That's cool.
Like, why didn't I play it like that? I was playing that game totally wrong.
Well, no, there's no such thing as playing it wrong. That's the wonderful thing. And it's sometimes hard to see that. And I think that we often fall into that same thing. As I said earlier, that I fell into the good old... what's the issue? The good old Path of Least Resistance in Titanfall 2, where I figured out the optimal way and the optimal weapons to play, and I just played it that way. It's nice when a game, it offers other things, but you've also got to offer things as a viable alternative instead of the suboptimal alternative. If I want to play a game with pistol only, I've made that choice, but the game didn't support that choice. It's like saying, well, I could play one hand time behind my back. It's the same fucking thing, same principle. I'm artificially handicapping myself. I'd rather the game gave me a viable alternative to that playstyle. And well-designed games do. Dishonored's probably a great example of a game that does. Deus Ex as well, and plenty of others.
I loved that new Deus Ex game. It got a lot of flack, but it was really, I loved it. Really liked it.
I think most people enjoyed it. I think the flack that it got was probably justified, but not actually important. It had some performance issues on launch, and incorporating those microtransactions into that multiplayer mode is kind of meh, but simultaneously it was pretty good.
Plus, I feel like the whole the story was a little bit fundamentally flawed in that trying to compare the Augs thing with racism was just
It's a
thought
tricky
they
analogy.
could make it work, but they just didn't make it work as well as they could have. And
Yeah, I think they should get props for trying. I think that
absolutely.
a lot of developers are very scared of the online. I wouldn't use that term. I'd go with witch hunting that can happen with addressing a controversial or difficult topic via allegory in a way that the internet doesn't approve of. It's like, well, yeah, but they tried to address it, and if you're one of these people that says that we need more diverse games and we need games tackling tougher topics, you can't then go and crucify anybody that gives it a good faith try and doesn't quite get it right the first time.
yeah, I agree.
That's the whole thing. It needs to come down to assuming that the developers acted in good faith.
Yeah.
because they did. They were good people.
For me, it was just heavy-handed in the finished product. As in,
Oh yeah, probably.
the AUG thing was so prominent on every NPC you talk to.
Yes.
The only thing they're going to mention or talk about is AUGs versus naturals, and it felt like, is this the only thing in this people's entire universe?
Yes. Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. You're totally right. I think there's a great way. That's a great description of it. That they did lay it on a bit thick, and as a result, it came across a bit ham-fisted. That is a valid criticism to make of the media in terms of its narrative. It is not a reason to crucify the developers, because if you do, then you scare people off from trying that again in the future. Mafia 3 is a similar situation. Some people think that it dealt with racism poorly. Some people think that it dealt with it well. If you crucify them over your perception of them dealing with it poorly, then the next Mafia game is not going to deal with it at all. Because is it worth the fucking hassle? It's not.
Mafia 3, it gets a lot of people were talking about how well it deals with racism, and up to a point I was agreeing with it. Then I found the first Irish character in the game.
But he's white,
Holy
so it's
fuck.
fine.
It was like a guy in a green hat outside a
Oh
pub
my god.
talking about
Toughen them on into ya. It was literally Hornswoggle.
I won't say I was offended by it, I wasn't, but I just kind of rolled my eyes. You know, it was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah, well, you know, because the thing is, like, the racism against Irish is fucking real and has been real for ages, but I feel that, you know, on certain levels, it's considered a more comedic form of racism, which there's no such thing as a comedic form of racism, really, but the Irish seem to have dealt with it fairly well. Yeah.
And you know, people have different definitions of the word racism.
Naturally,
for me, I consider it a little bit racist because I'm fucking Irish.
I mean, I'd say it's not just a little bit. It is, but it's like, is all racism created equal in terms of the reaction to it? And the answer to that is no.
Look at Paddy's Day.
Oh yeah,
Great conversation.
We just laugh at that.
Jesse's just dodging this. I don't blame him at all.
I'll be over there.
It's separating the idea of the practice of racism from the impact and result of racism. That it's all the same. It's all equally bad in terms of its intent and all that sort of thing. But in terms of its practical result, if you look at it very pragmatically, it's not the same. There are some stereotypes that hurt more than others do.
Anyway, I think it's fair to say in the next few years you'll see a lot less more of people wasting their time freaking the shit out over games.
Yeah, because there's a few more, perhaps more closer to home things to worry about. Yeah.
Oh, jeez.
Yeah, let's go to a break. When we come back, we'll talk about the upcoming releases. You're watching the Co-optional Podcast. Don't go anywhere. Oh, God. Yes, there we go. All right, well, welcome back to the show. Just screw that up slightly. We're going straight to releases because we are rapidly running out of time. And no, the first release is not Counter-Strike Global Offensive. Ignore that on the screen. Just testing. Well, good. We are just fucking the show up from head to toe.
Our actual first release for November 29th is Florenzia.
Thank you for the save. How the fuck do you spell that?
Florenzia.
Got it. It's
Florenzia.
It's that free-to-play MMO that popped up last week, or actually the week before, maybe. Yeah, that's apparently still being delayed up to this point. Great, good to know.
Great. The game after that is called Seven Seas Solitaire.
I think we can probably guess what that is.
Alliteration going on there.
Indeed. Very successful marketing. Let's move swiftly on.
The next one is called The Secret of Middle City.
Secret of Middle City. Inspired by classics such as Monkey Island and Broken Sword, and is seducing like a Twin Peaks parody. How does one seduce with a Twin Peaks? What?
Sure.
Huh?
Sure.
Written in Hollywood. Great. That's I'm just waiting for the actual gameplay to start. This entire
in Hollywood.
This isn't the entire opening. The trailer is the credits. Yeah, we can tell it's written in Hollywood, all right. Yeah, go into the actual screenshots. Oh my, yes, that looks not quite as good as Broken Sword. Let's just put it that way.
Oh my goodness. Well,
I think it says a lot about how much gamers give a shit about Hollywood people being in stuff, or like famous actors being in stuff, that Jon Snow is in the new Call of Duty and it's the worst selling one.
Nobody gave a fuck about that. All right. That, and I gotta say, In
Actually,
terms of
didn't even
villains,
know that.
yes, he is. If
Yeah.
you're gonna pick between villains, I'd probably pick Kevin Spacey over Jon fucking Snow. Like, Jon Snow was the goddamn villain in the first place. So
Poor Jon Snow. No one knows his real name.
no,
Poor Jon Snow.
Kit Harington.
Kit
No,
Harington. There
you
you
mean
go.
Jon Snow?
You mean Jon Snow?
Jon Snow. Jon Snow. You know nothing, Jon Snow.
Kit Harington ain't done shit. Jon Snow saved us all from the White Walkers, so I'm just
Did
putting
he?
it out there.
But did he? Spoilers.
Oh, I guess that's true. We don't
Indeed.
know.
know.
We have no idea. Hush. Hush you.
I'm calling it now. No one knows. I'm calling it now.
Next.
We're all White Walkers.
Next.
That's the twist.
Next.
We're the
The
White
next
Walkers.
one is Pinball FX2 VR.
Ooh, that's not a bad idea. Pinball FX is real fucking good. To make a VR version of it is kind of neat. I'd say that I might play that. That's neat. Pinball's fun. You should try it.
The game after that is called Our Wonderful World.
Oh,
It's a
yes.
slider puzzle game. It's
Oh,
just a
of course it
create
is.
pictures game.
Right. Yes. That's if I wanted something that represented our wonderful world, it would be that. Slider puzzles of photographs. Cool. Next.
The next one's called Stratus Battle for the Sky.
Well, at least got an appropriate name for it.
Fucking RTS.
Yeah. Set in a fantasy world of warring priests seeking the favor of the fickle gods. I love the idea behind it. What does the gameplay look like? Because there we go. All right, finally got it. Ooh, it's got like little floating mushroom things and balloons. Lots of balloons. Plenty of balloons now. It's good.
Great.
Don't know why it's in... Oh, there we go. Now that's in 16:9. Okay. This looks interesting. You got... There's a lot of bridge building between little islands and shit. That looks like it might have legs.
The next one is called Stratus Battle for the Sky. No, not Stratus.
No,
Battle
it
for-
isn't.
Oh my god, we literally just did that one. Publisher Tycoon.
Well, actually, the
is what I
time
meant to
loop.
say.
Nobody knew. Publisher Tycoon. Okay.
Tycoon, which is a game where you're trying to publish books.
Manager of a book publishing company. Sounds interesting. Really has an anime art style going on with it. But yeah, it looks like a Tycoon game. The interface is terrible. Holy shit. I wish they'd fix that in these Tycoon games, but all right.
The game after that is Archaeology
Hey!
Prologue.
Yes, it's a kind of archaeology game. You get to mine and mine. There's an axe involved in some way, a little lantern.
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah.
Watch Dogs 2.
Of course, yep.
course.
That actually, I think it was released yesterday or the day before, but yeah, it is definitely on. I think it was a Uplay first, and it's probably on Steam now or something.
That would make sense.
Yeah.
The game after that is Nuclear Contingency.
Okay. It's a top-down action stealth game set during the height of the Cold War, and it looks like it was done in MS Paint. You know, like the original Metal Gear, the one that wasn't that good. If you took that and made it look worse, it's that. Not a ringing endorsement, but that was kind of the point.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, this one's cool.
Yeah, the next one is called Infinitas DM.
Okay.
It looks like it's like a tool
Dungeon
to
Master
help
tool.
you DM a game. Yeah, you have like maps and things.
Yes, there's a couple of things that have tried to do this before. Fantasy Grounds, I think, as well. I don't know how this one compares. I think a modern sort of DMing tool for this kind of thing that isn't like Roll20 and online-based could be pretty good, if done well.
The next game is called Magnificent Ships Volume 1. It looks like it's just a VR game where you look at shit.
Yeah, it is. It's literally, you just look at them. It's like, oh, cool, a ship game. Oh, it's just models that you scroll around. They have the
Yeah.
Zumwalt in there, the new US destroyer that now can't fire the bullets it was supposed to fire because they fucked shit up.
There
Oops.
I was thinking it was going to be about romantic fan fictions when I heard that.
Magnificent
Dang it.
ships.
Magnificent Ships.
I like it.
John and Danny. Well, no, they. Oh
What?
yeah, that could potentially be very bad if one of the things I'm thinking is going to happen in the
Guys,
show
stop talking about Game of Thrones.
Next.
The next one's called Turret Architect. It's a cookie clicker game.
Great. Sounds great. Next.
Yeah, game after that is called Dark Eden.
I just want to read this to you.
As you wish.
The game constitutes of a unique object, which is Empire in the near future.
Yes,
This
that's not been done before.
differentiates Dark Eden from other MMORPGs.
Does it?
Right.
Really?
There you go.
Like, gameplay-wise, it doesn't look too shabby. To me, it looks kind of a little old-school Diablo look to it. But, yes, the description of it is... amusing. And apparently, it will provide you a new experience you did not have from the other games before.
Yeah, you won't have it. You get to be a vampire, slayer, or ousters.
Yep, they've never done
I don't
near
know
future vampires before. Underworld. Yes. Sun, daybreak. Whatever. Yeah.
You've
Anyway,
never experienced it before.
their experience. Other things that did that. Yes.
The next game is called Mad Hunter.
Okay.
It's a scroller with cool graphics and cheerful gameplay. As
That
the
looks
Mad
like...
Hunter, you play as very obsessed with pitching, which went for a jog to stretch my fists.
What the fuck is this shit? It's Russian, of course it is. Next.
The next game is called Knock Hidden Arrow, but like N-O-C-K.
Yeah,
Knock Hidden
Knocking
Arrow.
an Arrow by Code Bison, which is got a bison with little goggles on. It's lovely.
Aw.
Early access sneaky shooty game with a bow and arrow. I gotta say, if you're gonna call your game Hidden Arrow and make it stealth game, maybe don't make your arrow glow fucking neon white. That is a bit of a clue that you might be standing there. So do watch out for that. It is unsurprisingly VR. November 30th.
Oh,
Yes.
are we skipping Neon Arena?
Oh,
It's
apparently we.
called
Oh.
Neon Arena. It's
Okay.
a VR game that's a top-down arena-style shooter.
Oh, yeah. Why would you make that in VR? How does
yeah,
that
that's a good
benefit?
question.
I don't know. Okay, yes. Well,
Okay,
all right.
well now
We'll move
moving on to the
swiftly
30th, we have Bounce.
Bounce. It's a VR physics-based puzzle game. You are a playful robot. You got to help your little playful robot companions. This actually looks pretty decent. Like, as a VR game, it looks fairly fleshed out. Kind of 3D puzzle, build shit sort of game. This looks pretty cool.
Cool. The game after that is called Twin Bros,
Twin Bros.
a fast-paced game where you control two players,
Oh, God. Another
dodge enemies, and start your journey through awesome levels.
Another pixel shit game. Next. Oh, yeah, the trailer's recorded with Bandicam, unregistered version, because it has the fucking...
Yeah.
Oh, God, that's always a great sign. All right, next.
The next one's called Doomsday Survival Training.
Naturally. Let me guess, this is VR, right? Yes, it is. Doomsday Survival Training. You will learn how to... Apparently, Doomsday Survival Training involves dodging deadly laser traps. So just, if you happen to be a Doomsday prepper, just get those laser
If
trap
the robots
training
take
in
over,
there.
man.
If the robots take over, we may
We
very
gotta know
well
how
be
to
fucked.
do that.
Yeah, it's sort of parkour. It literally is nothing but that. It's parkour, dodge the laser grid Resident Evil style. Yes, that's what I think of when prepping for Doomsday. Cool. Next.
And then we have fucking 28 Waves
Jesus
later.
Christ! This game
on.
is what it's never gonna come out. They just delay it every week just to make sure we talk about it. I need to make sure that Chris never ever mentions it again in our list. That's getting
We're the hype
banned.
train for this game.
Blacklisted.
Always bring it up.
Blacklisted. It's
The
gone.
the next game is called Townsman.
Looks like a fairly simplistic sort of settlers-ish style game. By the looks of it. What we got next?
Next is Super Ninja Hero VR.
Wow, I did not spell that
It's
right.
an FPS VR game with cool fighting, strong, cunning enemies, and a smart boss.
Only one? Apparently only one. Yeah, I mean, might be okay. It doesn't show much gameplay, I admit. It's like, here are the weapons. Like, yeah, but I don't know how it plays yet. All I see is the same ninja falling over in the same way over and over again, so... No, I don't know about
Looks
that.
like it has potential.
Yeah,
to be
I'm
cool.
now looking at the gameplay footage where they put the little camera in the corner with the guy using the VR thing, and it actually looks pretty slick overall. UI needs a bit of work, but like weapons-wise, you've got this really cool fucking energy bow and a guy that blocks with shields and stuff. That's not too bad. All right.
Cool. Next up is called Delicious, Emily's in a Bottle.
Emily's message in a bottle.
Message.
Apparently,
Yeah,
delicious
that
is a
makes
big
more
thing.
sense.
There are
Delicious Emily's in a box.
Delicious Emily in a
Delicious
Bottle.
Emily's. There's actually 3 of these games, including Delicious Emily's New Beginning and Delicious Pretty Girls Mahjong Solitaire. I think it's by the same guys, the Pretty Girls Mahjong, consistently getting
good.
it away. Although this, what the fuck is happening in this game? I think it's like a Diner Dash style game by the looks of it. You're
Yeah,
serving
like cooking Italian food is the premise.
at Christmas Italian food. Serve tasty
Great.
treats. All right. Yes, that's a mobile game. Cool.
Okay. Next up is called Arc Box Unlimited.
I bet it's limited in some way.
I mean, probably, right?
Yeah. It's fucking Arkanoid, by the looks of it. It's
Yeah.
a breakout. But unlimited breakout! I never had a
Unlimited
desire to...
Breakout.
Unlimited breakout! Get unlimited anime instead. Trust me, it's much better. Crunchyroll.com/TotalBiscuit.
The next game is called Bunny and Piggy.
Bunny and Piggy. How adorable.
Yeah.
And
Boxy
Bunny-
platformer, basically.
Oh, one of those. Okay. I can't even find it on Steam. That's probably for the best. Next.
Next is called Slingster.
Schlingster.
It is a platformer. You're like a blob
Blob.
man.
You know, I designed this very same game when I was 10 years old and called it fucking Ninja Putty and thought it would be amazing. And I was mistaken then, and they're mistaken now. Let me put it that way.
Oh,
Where do you
Alright.
guys
Well-
find these? Are you trawling through Steam Greenlight or?
Every week we get like the release list. I think is from Giant Bomb, and Chris puts it together, and it's all Steam stuff, and 90% of it is complete shit. And as you are clearly seeing,
It all sound like stuff that would be at home on Jim's channel while he
it
does.
really
recording.
would. I'm pretty sure that's where he gets most of his stuff from. And every now and again, I'll email him something that's like, "Hey, super sexy bikini babe battle. Here you go. Try this out. I'm sure this will be right up your alley." Yeah, it's all pretty
It
shit.
always is.
And every now and again, we find something. The only reason we still do this segment is because every now and again we find a diamond in the rough, and
it's true.
we have yet
You
to
know
kind
how,
of
like-
find that. But
You know, like games with sexy things and butts are like Mora bait. Really shit games are gym bait.
yes,
Mhm.
yes, he does. It's almost like he encourages it. Really, people make those games solely for him. All right,
On
moving on.
December 1st, we have Western Adventure.
Is this the good one?
No, it's an infinite runner.
No, shit. Next.
Okay, next is called Second Coming.
Is this the good one? Okay,
What?
this is a 3D sci-fi cartoon game book with XCOM style 3D battles. Ew. Cool. I wonder how that plays. That looks neat. That almost reminds me of There Came an Echo, in terms of like a lot of its art style. Okay, sure. All right.
I just love how you call books books.
Books.
Bukes.
Books.
Cook. Overcooked. Is that it is? Cook.
Books.
Yeah.
Book.
The next game is called Luke Sidewalker, and I'm confused.
I already hate this.
By it.
I don't know what this game's
I haven't
about.
even looked in
Yeah.
it yet. I
I
would
couldn't
send
tell you.
a review code for this. I think they're pushing their luck a bit there. It's yeah.
Luke Sidewalker.
Yeah, it's
on the very
hipsters on
side of
fixies. I don't.
copyright
That's not really
claims.
real. Indeed. Ungoogleable music, 4x3 resolution, hardy fucking hell. Oh, there's a boss fight where it literally throws newly born babies at you from a woman's baby
What?
place. So that's cool.
That's weird.
Woman's
Let's-
baby play.
Let's never ever look at that again.
Place.
Moving
Uh,
on.
The next game is called Stargazer Christmas.
They said Santa didn't exist, but I knew they were wrong. When Santa falls from the sky, John Wizard must summon characters from his games into the real world to help
That
him
is-
save the day.
The best Adam Sandler movie plot I've ever heard.
Holy shit.
John
Solve Christmas puzzles. Oh, can we not? Next.
The next game is called Ready.
Or
Redie.
die, maybe. I wonder if it's deliberate pun.
It's a 3D top-down shooter.
Well, that trailer was a lot of walking right. Congratulations. Yeah, it's basically just a twin stick by the looks of it. Okay, next.
Next game is called Colony.
Okay, please be a colony building game. It's a space exploration game where you fly around trying to colonize planets. Sounds great. Will it be great? Based on the screenshots, it probably won't. That's a lot of fucking lens flare. Holy shit. Wow. This is an Unreal 4 engine game. You certainly can't tell. I'll tell you that for a fact. Alright. Looks like it was
the
made on
next
DOS in
game-
the 90s.
The next game's called Mechatronics Attack.
Mechatronics Attack?
It's
Mouthful.
it's a
it's
side-scrolling
oh,
game.
fucking
and then
next.
That doesn't.
Next.
Okay, great. King Lucas is the next game.
A multiplayer platformer where the levels change, I guess, as you go through.
Those levels, that's a lot of fun. Oh, yeah, so there's the whole, like, way that it's built is massive. Like, and the rooms rejig themselves in different orders. There's, like, 300 plus, and you can play with other people. This actually does look pretty neat. It's sort of, like, got a bit of a Shovel Knight deal, bit of, like, Rogue Legacy feel to it. But, yeah, they sort of reshuffle the levels all the time, which I think is interesting.
This next game looks awesome.
Okay.
It's
we
called
finally got one good.
Maze. And it's a game where you've created sentient corn.
What the shit?
Sentient corn
Look at
Like
the
with a
picture of
C-
that corn.
with a C or with a K.
You're a bear. Why are you a bear?
What is
What is
happening? Right now?
I'm gonna skip the next trailer. This trailer is super cinematic for what it is. There's like this bird. That's some really well fucking rendered corn. That's some seriously high texture work corn. Holy shit, the corn's
They're
alive.
like, yo, if we're gonna have corn be
We're gonna do fucking corn.
cornerstone of our game, so to speak.
The corn. Hey!
then
Shit, you did there.
Oh, I'm melting into a husk. I'm a little husky. What can I say? Oh, the fuck is this thing?
I don't know.
It's a must play. It's a game I have to play.
December the 1st, Fan Friday, right there. Do it. It's coming out a day before. I don't know what the shit this thing is.
This game?
This is a well-rendered fucking corn, though. Oh my god.
So cool. We're all gonna play that. Next
Hardcore
up is
corn.
called Space Junk Patrol.
Well, this is probably where it goes back to not being good, but I just typed Spank Junk Patrol, which is not the
Good.
same thing. Not
Google
whatsoever.
auto search.
I would not recommend that you do that. I'm on the Steam page. I have no excuse for that. Anthracite Games presents a VR game about shit falling down. It's you clean up space junk, unsurprisingly.
You know, I had a really different image in my head there of what that game
Space
was about.
junk. Yeah.
Yeah.
Err.
The next game is called Demon Hunter 3 Revelation.
Yeah,
It's gonna be a game for you, TV.
it's very hidden object.
Yep.
Yep, but
The
with
next game is called Drones: The Human Condition.
oh my,
Which I don't understand what it is. I'll be honest. Looking at
Kill
Written by Matt
drones.
Bellamy.
in an Orwellian dystopian. It's fucking Robotron, basically. That's what it is. Or Smash TV.
Game after that is called Dawn of Andromeda.
Okay, Dawn of Andromeda. These are sort of like bait titles for me. It's like, ooh, that sounds cool sci-fi. What is it? Oh,
It is
interesting.
kinda
It's a
cool
plausible
sci-fi.
real-time 4X space strategy.
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Big fleets, get tech. Cool. Ooh, this looks good. Looks impressive graphically. Those are very pretty ships. Early access, unfortunately, but we'll see how it turns out. Yeah, new 4X, always good to see that. We'll see how that turns out. Cool. Yeah.
Huh.
Dig it.
Okay. The next game on December 2nd is called Phrase Shift, and it's kind of like a weird crossword puzzle game.
Word puzzle thing, yeah. Okay.
The game after that is called Conflict Craft.
Oh, God, it's got craft at the end of it. Defend and attack at the same time. Unheard of. It's probably a tower defense of sorts, yeah. Seems like it is.
There's another tower defense after that
course there is.
called Crumbled World.
Crumbled World. I do give it credit on a fairly pretty art style, I gotta admit. A bit busy visually, but yeah, TD. Okay.
Game after that is called Asteroid 2000.
Asteroid.
Void.
That's a real bad pun. It doesn't roll off the tongue. A high energy MAGA. A 1 to 4 local multiplayer space brawler. Couch co-op twin stick shoot shit game. That's what it is. Classic couch multiplayer on the system that is generally not found in front of a couch. That'll sell fucking gangbusters. Next
is called Bullet Sorrow. I'm sorry.
Hey,
Bullet
if
Sorrow VR.
you got me worked up for a second there, what are you doing?
Excited there.
You are not allowed to make me feel that way.
I'm sorry.
That was
Bulletstorm
Sorrow.
VR?
great
Yes.
game.
Yes.
I don't know what's going on in this game, but I know that the bad guys are sexy ladies, and I'm 1,000% for it. Oh wait, or are you the sexy lady?
I think you're the sexy
I think
lady,
it's
dude.
sexy- That's
Oh
those
my
are
God.
those are pointy. Those could be used as weapons. Why are they in what look like Lycra non VR? The shit is this thing?
Because that's the way the company wanted them to be to sell them.
Yes, I mean, yeah, they even got an Asian girl to play in the VR, so there you go. You know, it's the ideal. I like the way that every male character in this is in full military gear, and all the female characters are in fucking Lycra non-bodysuits. That's
Standard
wonderful.
MMORPG
Well
rules. How
done.
it works.
At least be a little less blatant about it. Fuck. Next,
Next is called Sparkle Unleashed.
Sparkle Unleashed.
It's a puzzle game. I'm pretty sure I've
That's
played this on my
fucking
phone before.
Lux. That is fucking Lux in every way. Next.
The next one is called Hand-Eye Cubination.
That sounds like a sort of strange allegory for
Sounds like
masturbation, but it's not.
Minecraft, but difficult.
Ah, yeah, indeed. It's about bouncing a cube around inside another cube. That's confusing and wrong.
What the fuck? This next one,
I am looking forward to you pronouncing this.
it translates into Crazy Chicken Strikes Back. What it looks like is Morhun Schlagt Zurück.
Not bad, not bad. Weirdly enough, this doesn't look terrible. It's kind of a fortress artillery kind of game where you build a fort and fight another fort with like different siege weapons and shit. That this doesn't look awful, but yeah, you're right. It does translate to Crazy Chicken Strikes Back for some reason. Action-packed artillery game featuring Crazy Chicken at its best. I wouldn't want to see Crazy Chicken at its worst. Remember, if you can't handle Crazy Chicken at its worst, you don't deserve it at its best.
Oh my god, this next game.
What is this next game?
A realist nightmare. It's called Or. O-H-R.
Uh-huh. The shitting fuck.
What the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, this is trying to be Undertale. I'm almost certain of it. Like, it's kind of a genre masher sort of, we're kind of Undertale-ish thing.
What?
I mean-
But what is? Even the description is nonsense. It's like a nonsense. What?
Yes, I would say so.
Oh my
Haha.
goodness.
Yes.
The next game is called Skytime.
Skytime.
It looks like Cluster Truck, except you're like destroying ships.
Yeah, I mean, they are very open with their Super Hot tribute, as it were. It's like, if you ever played Super Hot or Cluster Truck, this game's both of those things. It's like, okay, that was not what I was looking for, but I'm sure there's a market for that.
The next game's called Crate Punks.
Everything is crates. Grab crates, throw crates, transform the map. Yeah, visually, it's awful, but yeah, so you kind of remake the level with crates and throw crates at other people. A clever game of crate action chess. I don't believe you.
The next game's called Shot Tactic.
Oh,
The
why?
description
It's
is
amazing.
Oh my god.
Shot Tactic is a realistic FPS game. There are too many weapons.
Guys.
Dot. And their planned features are more weapons, of course.
This is a damning indictment of America. There are
Too many weapons.
There's just too many.
But Jesse, baga. Don't you understand? Second Amendment, baga.
Realistic. There's too many weapons.
Can we just have a fucking puppet show that's nothing but this guy in a red hat that just like it? So some of the guys talk, it's like, well, I'm very concerned about sort of the economic situation in our country, especially for the lower class. And this puppet just pops and goes maga, and then just runs away. Can we just have that as a show?
Sure.
Can we make that show? I think that sounds great. Maga.
Is this the thing that happens whenever anyone hints at political chat? Is that what
Yes.
that MAGA is?
Maga. It's just it's very easy to stop it. It's just, just stop talking, please.
The next game is called Space Jammers. It's a
Is it
top-down
really?
shooter, it looks like.
That's an interesting name for a game. You might want to change that. But I mean, I will admit, I actually like the art style for this. It's kind of very colorful, low def, but God, it almost reminds me a little bit of Lovers in a Dangerous Space Time in terms of its aesthetic. It does look good, actually. Yeah, but you're right. It's space kitten pirates. Yes, I shit you not. With a sci-fi roguish top-down shooter. That doesn't look too bad, actually. Don't like the name, but hey. All right, just a couple more.
The next game for December 3rd is called Haid.
Hey.
It is a
Yes.
minimalist logic game.
It is. That's what, the chat's very good at that. They have a lot of minimalist logic. Next.
December 5th, The Fishing Club 3D.
Sure. Is it this? And it's not in VR. Huh. That's kind of surprising. You'd think VR fishing would be more of a thing these days. I'd
You
actually
would think.
probably play that. And I don't have any shame in admitting that.
After that, we have Intruder War Areas.
War areas. Well, where do you fight? We fight in the war areas, sir. Not in the war room, but the war areas. Huh. Although, do you like games that last for hours? Do you like games in which you can launch missiles, throw bombs, and destroy things? Do you like stealth games that Intruder War Areas made for you? You fly in a thing. Apparently, I don't know. Yeah, it's sort of a helicopter game, but you have no actual helicopter blade. It's like a space fighter thing. I actually don't know what Is this multiplayer, single player? It doesn't say. It's a mystery. Okay.
I'm so distracted by the next game.
The next game I've been focusing on for the last 10 minutes. I'm
Okay.
sorry.
Jesse, would you like to take lead on this final
Your
game?
world is not important anymore.
Oh my god.
Attention, planet Earth. Mr. Masage, Mr.
Holy
Masage, whatever
shit.
it is a dating sim / you use your controller to massage yourself. We've done it. We've done it. We're at the pinnacle of mankind.
Do you need the juicy controller for this, or can you play on a regular one?
Uh,
You're
just
massaging mayonnaise!
Will
Some
it
of-
fix
some of the
will it
characters-
fix
What
that?
the fuck is happening?
Some of the characters that you can flirt with are a jar of mayonnaise.
Will it fix Dodger's back?
It
Oh my
might,
god,
very well-
it might.
With
Holy shit,
mayonnaise,
this could be the
maybe.
answer.
this
Yeah.
could be the
Oh
answer.
my god, this thing.
This is it. This is
You found it. This
the
is
greatest game. This is the single greatest game ever made.
Yeah,
It's
that's
incredible.
it.
yeah, we can't go any further than that. We shouldn't go any further than that. We've gone far enough. Wow. 2016, hell of a
There's
year.
a cat girl. There's you. There's a cat girl, and then a real
Fucking
cow. You just hit on a
mayonnaise.
cow with a hat.
Answering the question, is mayonnaise a gender? Apparently it is, according to this. Like, all right, I can't argue with that. Video games.
Video games.
Video.
I
games.
think, I assume.
I'm gonna have fun tonight.
I love Lana.
You need to play this fucking game. Oh my god, you all need to play this game. What is happening to our lives? Ha!
I got the summertime sadness.
Sadness. What happened to us? All right. Well, I think that probably brings the show to an end, and you know what? That's probably for the best.
Rachel says to say hi, by the way, TB.
Cool. Hi, Rachel.
Aw.
She's always asking after you and asking how you are and stuff.
Apologize for dragging your man into this. We just didn't know. We couldn't possibly have foreseen.
How could
what
we
would
have
happen.
known?
How
How
could
many
we?
of us have
Listen.
known?
Listen, she's heard Podquisition. This is,
Yes, there is a good point. We can never really. There's a level that our submarine cannot dive to, and
Podquisition
Podquisition
is
is
a
on the
level
bottom of
of,
the
like,
ocean.
like degeneracy that,
Oh
Her
dear.
mom knows I'm on a podcast every week, and she's like, "Oh, I have to listen to it." I'm like,
No!
please don't ever."
Please don't do that thing. Can you not? Wow, I give Mr. Misagi 3 days before it gets banned from Twitch, by the way. Like, that's going on the list. Then with along with that Yandere. That's going to happen. Oh my god, thank you very much for watching the Co-optional podcast. But before we go, what's coming up on the channel this week? Gav, what can we expect from you and what is already there?
Okay, well, my YouTube channel, sorry, I'm caught off guard here. For those who don't have a fucking clue who I am, I make video gamey songs and not video gamey songs as well. I made the intro music for this podcast.
He did. He absolutely
Whoa.
did.
Wait,
Yeah.
hold on. While you're here, can we have you create a song
Oh, no.
called the No Optional Podcast theme, where when we don't do it that day, but we don't say anything, people show up and TV just
Someone
plays-
already did that. He doesn't have to do that. We already
Yeah,
had
but
that.
this is
I'll
the
do it if you
version.
both follow me on Twitter. I'm very upset.
All right, well, I don't need that.
I already do. I'm pretty sure I already do.
that Dodger and Jesse don't follow
What?
me on
The
meaningless
bag of
social
fuck.
I'm
media.
pretty sure I do.
No,
What a-
neither of you do.
What a sack of wanks. How dare you?
How did I see your message to us then?
It says I follow you. I'm looking at it right now.
Because do you know why it is? Because like every time I tweet at one of you two, like 10 people respond. So you probably see it then.
Nope, it says I'm subscribed. It says following. I think you're lying.
I wasn't.
Called-
I wasn't following you. You were
Call
right.
the fuck out. That's why I never trust
yeah,
a
so-
cat to do social media.
What was I? Oh yeah, my YouTube channel,
Yes.
Miracleofsound. I do songs. They're cool. Go listen to them. I
They
think
are.
you'll like them. You've probably heard them a couple of times.
We
on-
may or may not have used them from time to time. It has been known to happen. Jesse, what's coming on the channel this week? What's going on?
Yo, all that you need to know is immediately after this podcast, Final Fantasy 15 stream, we start this business, and I may never finish this game. It may be 25 years before I'm done.
Never gonna happen.
Immediately after we're done, that's what's happening, kids.
Never gonna
Play
happen.
this shit. 10 years in the making.
Yep. Dodger, what's come channel this week? What's going on?
My channel's been pretty light on the content lately. Krender and I are going to be recording more Backstage Pass tomorrow, and yeah, we're going to be streaming every day because I'm going to be heading out again for a couple of days next week. But if you would like to watch some streams, I'll be streaming a bunch.
I saw you
Cool.
talking about the YouTube views being down. I was like, YouTube seems to be fucking loads of people.
Yeah,
They
a
do
lot
love
of
to
people
screw with
are
people.
experiencing it. It's so yeah.
Coming up on the channel, I just finished recording the collab with ForgottenWeapons.com, which is the World War I weapons, which we fired at the gun range. I had to go record a bunch of Battlefield 1 footage to fill in the blanks with that. Means I need to unlock the Model 88 Gewehr and all the bullshit. Gewehr. It's Gewehr, it's not Gewehr, but yeah. So that's on the way. As to other stuff, there is a bit of collab. I may or may not have been backstage at Raw last night, and I may or may not have possibly recorded an Up, Up, Down, Down episode with Xavier Woods. There may or may not be random wrestler interruptions during that show, which are fucking hilarious. May or may not have happened. I can't confirm or deny. I have no idea when or if that's ever going to come out. If it does, you'll be able to find it over on youtube.com/Up, Up, Down, Down. And if you want to look at my dumb face, I think I'm on hard camera during most of last night's Raw, so feel free. I'm sure you can spot me eating unhealthy food while people far more athletic than me do wrestling in front of me. But yeah,
Do you have one of those
that's how it
big,
goes.
like foam hands with the finger up?
I do have a
Like
large
wrestling
unicorn
fans always
horn.
have.
I have a unicorn horn and a pair of dodgy sunglasses. I don't know if that counts, but
Is that like an American thing or a wrestling thing?
the unicorn horn is a
unicorn?
very
No, the hand with the finger.
oh, the
with
hand thing. I
foam
think the
hand.
hand thing is
Oh,
is
that's America. Oh, that's
America,
number
yes.
one.
America.
America. Yeah, it's very much that, I think. Yeah. Yep, so that's what's coming on, and we're pretty much done. Thank you very much for watching the Corruptional Podcast. Thank you very much to crunchyroll.com/TotalBiscuit for sponsoring the Corruptional Podcast. Head on over there for 30 days of unlimited anime, which gives you enough time to watch Cowboy Bebop and Tiger Bass W, which you should do, and maybe other
And maybe
things.
some Keijo if you're feeling saucy.
Yeah, you know what? Nobody has to know. Thank you very much for watching, folks. We'll see you next time. Goodbye.
Bye.
Goodbye.
You can't see me wave.
I don't. Yeah, you probably can't. We're gonna assume that you can
So
do that.
badly.
Bye guys. Bye Gav. You're lovely.
Bye, guys.